Ah. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. This is Sensei Al Bob on Dreamy Dreamland with Dreamy Dreamland's Al Bob, your griot. And we're going to talk about conscious intent and conscious awareness. And those are the two keys to understanding. And I'm just going to play a little something that I want you to listen to. And if you can, if you're at a desk, a piece of paper, keyboard, and write something down, listen to this. And write down the things that strike you. Like, yeah, this is true. But yeah, I can use this. But yeah, this is interesting. And use conscious awareness I am. Conscious awareness I am. Conscious awareness I am. Because it'll give you information that can then be conscious intent I am. Conscious intent I am. So here we go. This is from the Palladians.
And the lost healing technology of Lemuria. Pleiadian light forces and the lost healing technology of Lemuria. Channeled by Michael Love. A special message to the starseeds of New Earth for immediate planetary broadcast. The Pleiadians often tell stories designed to bring you to higher levels of consciousness.
Ooh, like
This
me.
light transmission is encoded to trigger your ancient divine memories. The information in this ministry is derived from secret space program intel from Earth Alliance data and is channeled from the crystalline grid Akashic records that contain a complete and accurate record of the history of planet Earth. There is a lot of information to process in this ministry. Listen to it twice if need be to allow it to be integrated. Take some notes as you go, as the things you write down will be your DNA triggers. Begin transmission. Break 1. The ancient Liberians are the most advanced race that has ever existed on planet Earth, as direct descendants of the first 12th dimensional deer and humanoids to settle on Earth millions of years ago. The Lemurians were the original human society on the planet, and they were primarily located where the Pleiadians originally landed, on the top of the highest mountain on Earth, on the largest island of Hawaii. This is where the elders say the original Lemurian canoes or crafts are buried. Still today, modern Hawaiian elders will tell you that Lemuria is the lineage of Hawaii, and they teach this is where humanity began. The Grand Lemurian civilization expanded to many other landmasses on Earth as well, but no society gained the grandness of the main Lemurian island. The Lemurian had an advanced knowledge of physics, quantum physics, matter, light, sound, frequency, and healing. They possessed a multi-dimensional DNA that operated at 90% capacity, and at their peak they achieved universal levels of consciousness. Before the days of the Great Deluge on Earth, the shining civilization of Lemuria went to great lengths to preserve their advanced knowledge for the future generations of Earth. Their universal Lemurian knowledge base was shared with the entire Lemurian population in those days, stored in the body cells of all, so it would be passed down genetically and available to the descendants of the Lemurian. This extraterrestrial advanced information was written into ancient scrolls that have been guarded and passed down through the sacred Lemurian Brotherhood and the 13th Mystery School to this very day as a safeguard. This ancient knowledge was also encoded and stored in incredible Lemurian seed crystals for future generations to decode. Though we say Lemurian technology, know that it is not technical in any way. It is all very natural, and is just a much deeper understanding of the natural laws and systems of the universe. The Liberians were primarily known for their advanced knowledge of healing, using different energy modalities. The Temple of Rejuvenation, as it was known then, was a place of profound healing. The healing techniques used in these temples were kept secret, known only by a special group of Lemurians who were able to use the Temple of Rejuvenation on a regular basis to greatly extend their lives.
If you're between the ages of 50 and 80, this may be the most important video
Blah, 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 blah.
There is
Blah, 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 blah. Blah, blah, blah.
They were Lemurian royalty and the keeper of secrets. They outlived most of the other Liberians by up to 3 times if they needed to, since they were the ones with the original knowledge. This was their way of preserving the ancient ways of Lemuria and keeping the sacred information. Inside the grand healing temples of Lemuria were chambers that housed magnificent crystals. These huge crystals generated scalar waves that would completely heal and regenerate the human body in just a few minutes, and the DNA template of the person being healed would be completely recalibrated back to perfection. It is further recorded that by spending only 3 days in one of these temples, one would become biologically 3 years younger. If
That is what Wilhelm Reich Orgonbach was. Check Wilhelm Reich Orgonbach.
What's interesting is there was a table-like bed near the giant crystal in each chamber, and the person would simply lay on this Lemurian medical bed under the exotic energy waves being emitted by the giant crystals until their bodies were completely repaired and rejuvenated. Many starseeds will say, "I know I was there, but I wish I remembered how ancient crystal healing really worked in a technical and advanced way." Well, you absolutely do remember this, and we are simply here to remind you of it. You are the direct descendants of these magnificent beings, and all of their ancient knowledge was encoded within the cells of your body. The Lemurians understood the multidimensional and electrical nature of crystals. They knew that crystals, primarily types of quartz, could receive energy, store it indefinitely, and transmit it back out again, with no energy loss. The energy stored in the crystal could also be amplified by the crystal itself to increase its power. Lemurian crystal scalar technology. The Lemurians were masters of frequency and resonance. They knew how scalar energy works and how to harness and direct its power for positive healing. Using scalar energy as many names, zero-point infinite energy, quantum field energy, dark matter, and scalar, all these terms refer to the same thing: the ability to cancel out a waveform by applying the equal and opposite of it. Advanced Pleiadian physics and technical teachings show that scalar energy is the same thing as the elusive tachyon energy. When healing technology or any advanced technology refers to tachyon energy or scalar energy, they are both referring to the same type of energy. One beautiful characteristic of scalar energy is that anything that comes in contact with it is transmuted at once to a more divine and perfected state of being. Some ancient teachings simply call scalar energy angelic energy. As you know, a force cancels itself out when there is an equal and opposite force. In this case, we are talking about a frequency and its amplitude, or how strong it is. When we cancel out the 3D part of the waveform, it takes away the 3D energy, but leaves the higher dimensional energy there, waiting for us to use it. The higher dimensional energy no longer has a purpose because we took away the 3D part of it. And if we don't contain this energy, it quickly dissipates in the surrounding field. This doesn't mean we cannot use it. On the contrary, we can store these special scalar waves in the matrices of crystals. The Lemurians knew that when they stored the scalar energy in crystals, they could direct this energy into their healing chambers and into the cells of the body, which would completely transmute the cells in a positive way into a higher level of performance. Scalar waves pass straight through an object in 3D because it is traveling at a higher dimension. However, when we pass the scalar information through a lower dimensional object, such as a quartz crystal, that object then takes on part of the scalar transmission. So how was the scalar wave created to begin with, so it could be stored later in the temple crystals for healing? And also, how was this scalar energy broadcast at high levels of power out into the Lemurian healing chamber? Dear one, You will find as you continue to awaken to your ancient memories that seemingly complex things are always very simple, very natural, and easy to accomplish. Any form of external energy wave can be converted to a scalar wave as long as the 3D part of the wave is cancelled out. While the Lemurian could have sent a pulse UV laser or a collapsing magnetic field into the crystals of healing to create their scalar wave, they realized that thought and intention are some of the most powerful and measurable energy weights in the universe, which could easily be stored in their crystals. The highly conscious priests of Lemuria continually sent powerful healing intent energy directly into these giant temple crystals. The internal reflective geometric lattice of a crystal automatically cancels out the 3D part of the incoming energy, converting it to a scalar wave. Using light as an example of the scalar energy, we can see how light will bounce back and forth within the facets, moving down the crystal as it goes. Because the light is being refracted, a certain percentage of the light will go out of phase to the original beam and cancel itself out. This is where the scalar or zero-point energy is generated, and because the cancellation is happening inside the sacred geometry of the crystal, it also stores a scalar wave inside the crystal, while crystals naturally broadcast their stored energy. The Lemurians gave this process a boost by cutting precise geometric shapes into the outside of the crystals and their healing temples. Unlike giant reflective mirrors or antennas, the temple crystals would broadcast the healing scalar waves out of these external faucets with greater power into the chamber and onto the healing bed. The giant crystal facets were cut using precise golden mean measurements to maximize scalar wave generation and refraction in the temples of rejuvenation and healing. It's important to note that the person being healed was also guided into a deep meditative intent healing state.
The
While laying on
intent,
the ancient Lemurian
conscious
deathbed, you recently
intent.
stated your
I
earnest
am.
healing request to the universe, and just as we said, the universe is preparing a way for your healing. Even now you will see when it is all said and done, you shall truly be healed. This is why you come to receive life in, dear one. You are ready now to be fully healed. Just thinking about healing is a big part of the healing, and you are already headed in the right direction.
Have you ever felt like God's calling you to do more for His kingdom, or like you're giving what you can, but you don't have the time or resources to serve at the level you're meant to? And even worse, you have guys rolling up in their new Lamborghinis, flashing some shiny object scheme as you proceed to instantly skip their ad.
Since you originally worked in the great healing.
So, mm, what do you think of it? That was 11 minutes, 13 minutes. Well, no, it's there. Well, you have to go back and listen to that. So I gave what that young computer voice said. I gave almost that exact speech. I gave a speech giving that exact information to we had our in the United Nations in New York City. I was part of an NGO called Alternative Aesthetically Adept and Appropriate Alternative Technologies. Right? That was our NGO, and we developed a few number of things that UNICEF put out and made a big difference, like turning unpotable water into potable water by just using a disposed of clear soda bottle that were ubiquitous all over the lands of Africa. And once people started using that process, I mentioned it yesterday, about 1 million people and babies, mostly babies, didn't die of dysentery. Anyway, I was brought into these esoteric groups that are at the UN, and there were people who represented the tall Nordics and the Palladians and others, but they were human, more or less. I've been here for a while. Anyway, so we put together this conference, that was 1984. We put it on this new thing called the World Wide Web. The conference wasn't just in the UN, it was all across the world. So people in universities all across the world could be part of it. Egypt, Darfur, all through Africa, Asia. And I was supposed to give a lecture on this alternative technology and its economic influence and what it could be and how it could work, et cetera, et cetera. And I did have this, and I was a keynote speaker. And I was supposed to, I did. I wrote it. It was okayed by the higher ups at the UN. This was not only going to be in a room, but it was going to be all over the world. And they were like really excited about that, but also were like, oh my God, we're going to connect everyone, not just the politicians. You mean anybody can want? Yep, that's right. So we did that. And so, it opens. The head Mucky Muck, his name's Clarence. He was from Africa, brilliant guy. And John, who's fit? Clarence was like the rock star of the UN. Really handsome, really well spoken, really amazing guy. And anyway, so he announces me. I get up and I give the keynote speech. And I have it in my hand. And I'm looking at it, and I'm not saying anything. I'm looking at it, and for a good, at least a minute, everyone's being quiet. So for a whole minute, I was like this quiet. And then I took the speech and I threw it up in the air, and the papers came flying down. And hey there, Lan. And I said the speech exactly that young computer voice said about the Lemurians. Is where you came from, Lana, the Lemurians. And most of you on the cadre are from Lemuria. But I was even more agitated, let's say. And I said, there's all this technology. And I described Tesla's technology and Wardenclyffe's and how it was wireless, not only communication, but power anywhere, anytime for free. And not only that, it took the Lemurians' healing energetics one step further and placed it all around the world. So everyone on the planet would be healthy. They wouldn't have disease. They could live 300 years. Anyway, I'm giving this speech, and everyone is hushed, and I'm not looking at. So there's a big stage, and there was this group of people who were going to be talking about all this. They all had specialities, right? And I give this speech about how this technology was developed, back in the day with the Lemurians, and we've had it. Special groups of people have kept it. The mystery schools, and I've been part of mystery schools now for 10 years at this point. '84. What was I in '84? '84. I was 34 years old, and so a good portion of the guys behind me were guys who were part of those mystery schools, and they were like, "Oh my God, he's spilling the beans." But I never quite, joined the club. I was just an adept, right? Because every time they say, "Oh, now you have to, you know, obligate your spirit, soul, everything to us," and I'd say, "Well, I don't think so." Let me think of it. I'm really, it's such an honor. You guys are so great. You've been so nice to me all these years. Uh, you know, uh, but let me think about it. That's a big step. Oh, you're right. It is a big step. So anyway, I gave this speech, and then I said, and the guys behind here, they know all of this. And not only that, they represent these these reptilian powers that just want war. And they have all of this stuff. They're already out in space. The Nazis went to the moon in 34. They were on Mars by 42. You know, the flying saucers you see are some, I said, the folk who come from other dimensions, other planets, don't have spaceships. They have dimension. They just appear and disappear. Just like I was discussing the other day. Um, Bigfoot. He's a dimensional character. He comes in and out. That's why they can't capture him because, you know, he goes, oh, when goes behind a bush and he's gone. So so I'm saying all this, and all the people out in the audience are like, and I finished my speech, and I'm saying, if we get nuclear weapons, these guys have, space-based energy weapons that can incinerate, the planet, or an individual, anything. And that's why, because in our little NGO of alternative technologies, we after we did a few of these amazing little things that like saving millions of people with just a garbage soda bottle, we got some attention, and so I give this whole spiel. Everyone out in the audience is like, they don't. When I finish, I just stop talking, look around, turn around, and I had at this table with all these you know important people. It was I was sitting at one chair right over there, right, and I turn around to go to my chair, and the chair is gone, and they've kind of spread out a little bit, right? So there's no room at the table for me, a high table, right? So I keep talking about the high table. These guys were, they weren't it. They were at the bottom. They were the poster boys of the hidden hand, the powers that shouldn't be, the high table. Anyway, so I turn around, and my chair is gone, right? And Clarence comes out, big, tall guy. He kind of puts his arm around him. This guy, isn't he great? I mean, he knows his First Amendment rights. Al, go sit down there. And so they had a folding chair, not even in the audience, like off to the side. So I kind of go down the steps, sit down at the chair, and Clarence kind of goes on about, free speech and what does it really mean? Nothing. In America, it's the same thing, because we're experiencing, we never had free speech. If you read Noam Chomsky's, manufactured consent, you know that we have no free speech. Anyway, And here's a little something about free speech. I can find it. Yeah, here we go. Yeah.
Danielle, it's Frank. Hey, Frank. Good taxi. Please turn in your neighbor. By orders of the governor, it's the right thing to do. Hey there, sports fans. If you like authoritarianism, tyrannical laws, and you were a fan of what the Nazis were doing, then you'll love a new law that's being proposed in New York. If you thought California was leading the way in destroying democracy, New York has stepped in and said, hold my beer. Because on January 5th, the New York Senate is voting on Assembly Bill A416. And if passed, it would give the governor the right to imprison anyone that the governor deems a significant risk to public health. Imprison them without trial on an indefinite basis.
For no reason.
I wonder who would be deemed a public health threat. If you haven't been compliant, we will find you and imprison you for your protection. Oh, and for specificity, they don't actually have to be a public health threat. They just have to be deemed a public health threat. Legalese, that makes the whole extermination portion of the agenda a little easier, if you know what I mean. Not only that, but the law allows the governor to hold said persons in a medical facility or any other facility that they deem appropriate. Any other facility? That rhymes with concentration camps and gulags, doesn't it? Last but not least, the New York bill will require any individual who's been exposed to or contracted a contagious disease, which is everyone, to complete an appropriate medical treatment, preventative medication, or vaccination against their will. Now, we've all read Anne Frank's diary, and as her and the rest of the second-class citizen Jews are hiding from the Nazis who are hunting them down to detain them, haven't you thought, I hope they find her? Well, now New York lawmakers are wanting to be on the same side of history as the people who are trying to hunt down and kill this innocent little girl. Oh, and spoiler alert, they ended up getting her. Which makes me optimistic about what New York will be able to get done. You're hiding one in there, aren't you? A law that gives the government the right to detain anyone and forcibly vaccinate them? Yes, please. Was this law written by the Pfizer CEO or Fauci? Either way, their stock portfolio just went up in a way that benefits everyone who's them. There's also a handful of other exciting laws that the New York Senate will be voting on January 5th. But before we get to those, does this first one sound too good or too third world communism to be true? Well, it's happening. Let's break it down. Number one, it allows the governor to detain anyone who they deem to be a public health threat, completely taking away their freedom and liberty. No warrants, no judge, no jury, or actual threat to public health necessary. Just the governor saying there's a threat to public health. These people will infect you and your family. They're very dirty. So the governor would be favoring absolute obedience to their authority as opposed to individual freedom. They'd be exercising complete control over the will of others. Now, if that seems similar to the definition of an authoritarian, it's not. It's the exact same definition. But it's different than that because it's the same. Mr. Miyagi. Shah! Number two, the bill would require any individual who's been exposed to or contracted a contagious disease to complete an appropriate course of treatment, preventative medication, or vaccination. This part violates that pesky Nuremberg Code, which states the voluntary consent of the human subject is absolutely essential. But that's okay, because the Nuremberg Code was just the result of the Nazi trials in order to prevent the atrocities that the Nazis committed from ever happening again. And I think New York here is just looking to prevent the prevention, which to me sounds like preventative medicine. But let's just remember this. All those evil authoritarians throughout history doing the same thing as New York, they were just enacting senseless evil. But New York is enacting evil for your protection, eliminating threats to public health. Like, the Nazis didn't get the public to stand by while they detained Jews because they said, we hate these people and we're doing evil so we can have complete control. No, they convinced them that the Jews were a threat to public health. These people are like rats. Round them up and lock them up. Well, I guess New York's doing it the same way that the Nazis did it. But all those other evil authoritarian regimes, New York's completely different from them. You're probably saying, all that sounds amazing, but what other bills will the New York Senate be voting on come January 5th? This bill mandates forced COVID shots in order to attend school. Coercion? I can't remember if the Nuremberg Code forbids coercion or mandates it. This bill forces all adult records into a state database. Now, it might violate HIPAA laws, but how else are we going to know who the governor should detain and imprison without trial unless we have this bill? This bill is forced shots for college, which means it's also masterfully using the Nuremberg Code as toilet paper. This one's forced flu shots to attend school, preschool, and daycare. Stupid Nuremberg Code again. But do you know how profitable it's going to be to mandate more pharmaceutical products to protect a young population that has the lowest amount of risk? You might say it's mandating more shots, but I say it's mandating more profits. So, quit being such a pessimist. By orders from our governor, you are under arrest. Come out with your dirty, infected hands up. This bill eliminates religious exemptions for work in college, as it should be, because under communism rule, any religious right interferes with your ability to be ruled over. So, it's nothing personal, so don't even worry about it. This bill eliminates the parent's right to consent once a child reaches the age of 14. Your child belongs to the state now. I think we can all agree that parents shouldn't have a say in how their children are raised or what's injected into their bodies. This bill eliminates the parent's right to consent for STD shots for children of any age. This is not only profitable, but also makes us curious why the authoritarian left is so intent on viewing children as sexual objects. And New York Assembly member Patrick Burke also has an exciting upcoming bill that would eliminate unvaccinated people's access to health insurance. If their immune systems have them healthy the way they're not supposed to be, then they don't deserve health care or food. If you tell us where they are, the governor will look very favorably upon you and your family. Wow, these are all exciting changes coming down the pipeline in New York. If you let them, I wonder if these same lawmakers will tear down the Statue of Liberty, because it inconveniently stands for the opposite of what they're doing. Maybe they'll replace it with a Statue of Tyranny. There's one over there. Get him!
A seismic shift on abortion rights. Roe versus Wade essentially upended.
Clearly designed to shame, intimidate providers, all of these things they're putting into question. So people are literally afraid to access abortion. We are.
Real quick, my friend, from my heart to yours, if you ever wondered what you would do, like during the civil rights era that sought to end segregation from society, or wondered what you would do during Nazi Germany, what you are doing today is your answer to that question. We can look back at Germany in the 1930s and see three groups of people that ended up being on the wrong side of history. State officials implementing and enforcing unjust laws, citizens who turned in their neighbors, and citizens who stood by and did nothing as they watched the innocent be harmed. And the people who were on the right side of history in those days were the people who stuck to their values and principles related to freedom and human decency. They exuded bravery instead of taking the easy way out, and they disobeyed unjust laws and mandates in order to do what their heart knew was right. Gandhi and Martin Luther King Jr. were two great men that proved to be on the right side of history in the face of major corruption. Gandhi said, "Civil disobedience is a sacred duty when the state becomes lawless or corrupt." And Martin Luther King Jr. said, "One has a moral responsibility to disobey unjust laws." So here's a question. Which side of history are you choosing to be on? The side that inflicts harm on the innocent, like Anne Frank, or the side with Gandhi and Martin Luther King Jr. and those who sought to protect Anne Frank? The choice is yours. And your answer isn't based on what you say you would do. It's based on what you're doing today. Personally, in the spirit of Gandhi and Martin Luther King Jr., I will not be obeying any unjust law or mandate, nor will I stand by watching the innocent be harmed. That's the side of history I'm choosing to be on. What about you? I want to thank the sponsor of today's video, Magnesium Breakthrough by Bioptimizers. There's 4 things that I care most about in life: my family, Mother Earth, Mars, and Magnesium Breakthrough. Why is that, JP? Because Mars is awesome, and Magnesium Breakthrough is awesome too. Why? Because I love to feel and function my best.
Okay. Well, I'm not backing any specific product, but magnesium is good for you. Oh, I came out of a picture. Oh. So I'm making breakfast. Nice little omelet. Let's see. Hey, Bubbo, that's me. Here, John. The connection sucks. Can't see anything. Well, that's my fault. I'm just pointing it at different things while I'm making breakfast. Can you see me now? Better now. What is more moron? What's a moron? The way that dude about Mars. His thing wasn't about Mars. It was about New York State. It's about to become Nazi Germany. And the thing about Mars is he's, that guy's name, JP. And his channel is Awakened with JP. And he is totally sarcastic about everything, That's why I like this guy. And that's why he can stay online, because he never uses any of the words that the algorithms will pick him up, because he is just, you saw him, he's just, woo! And you're going to have to watch this one over again a couple of times, because in the beginning, I played another thing about the Palladians and the Lemurians. Well, Lana, you come from Lemuria. Did you know that? You are 100% a Lemurian princess, if I have ever felt a Lemurian princess. And I was telling the story about how I gave a speech at the UN, and I was, I was part of a thing called the Alternative, Aesthetically Adept Appropriate Alternative Technology, right? And so the first thing we did, right, we hit it out of the park. We studied what's the biggest problem in the third world, and that was, potable water, because millions were dying of just shitting themselves to death. And we kind of figured out that if you took what was the most ubiquitous trash in Africa but soda bottles, right? And they were these 2-liter clear soda bottles. And so I took one of those and went by a mud puddle and got a mud puddle and put the gooky water in the sun, direct sun. And the next day I had another soda bottle, and I had a strainer, took the gook, and now it was cloudy water, and put it in the sun. And then I took another clean soda bottle a day later and poured that cloudy water that had already precipitated down to another, filter. And you could use your sock, your T-shirt, anything, right? And you can make a funnel. How we did it, we took one of those 2-liter things, cut it in half, and the bottom part where it had a cap, we kind of took that cap and kind of stuck it on the funnely part with tape, and had the screw-on part go onto the other one. And so we could just do it through that, and then you do that 3 times. You keep it in the direct sunlight for 3 to 5 days, and that disgusting water would be totally potable. No machines, no electricity, no nothing, right? And they had millions of these 2 liter clear soda bottles everywhere. And we made a protocol. We put it into UNICEF. UNICEF, sent it out to all the people. All the people showed the folk how to do it. And within 2 years, it saved 1 million people's lives. And then the next year, just the next year, it saved 1.5 million. Next year, the word went out through the corporate structure to put something in the soda bottles that would block UV energy. And then slowly the death went back up. Anyway, we did a few other things like that. And we got a lot of positive press for that. The UN did, not us per se, but the UN did. Saying, oh, look what these guys are, the UN's doing great things, using garbage to save millions, right? And as soon as, they got a lot of pats on the back for that, then the corporate guys make sure it wouldn't happen. So, and we were asked to do more like exotic, the big picture, and I said, Tesla. So we worked on a lot of stuff, and we were, with the advent of not just the internet, the World Web, we were communicating with other universities and making them think about stuff, not making them, inviting them to think about stuff. So after a year of that, a really good converse, we, this is like, in the early 80s, and in 1984, I thought it was appropriate to have a big worldwide conference over the internet, and the stage would be the United Nations. They had, the General Assembly isn't just the biggest room. They have other big lecture halls that hold, 1,200 people or so. So we set it all up, and as I was saying, the big high mucky mucks were on the stage on a table, and this guy Clarence was from Africa, and he was just like the most noble, tall. He was just amazing guy, right? So, and I'm pretty sure that he had a lot of alien in him, because half the people in the United Nations were aliens. I mean, we're like, had a connection to them. They were like Billy Meyer and people like that. Anyway, and there were a ton of mystery schools in the UN and secret societies and you name it. And that was like the international clubhouse of that. Right? So anyway, I had been pruned and invited and guided to be part of all of that. And that was, me, I'm sure. But I never signed on, I was always the adept, always the student, always, getting ready to be, the big superstar, right? And, Al, one day you're gonna have to wear a suit. You gotta, And I said, sure, of course, And they actually, for this thing, Clarence took me to Brooks Brothers, just like my dad used to do, and bought me a suit. Did you hear a new news, Alexis, that this year old almost by asking Alexa? Right, being programmed at early age by Alexis and AI. Hey, good look at you. So we are so deep into this. People don't realize we've been in an authoritarian state basically, for the last, 60,000 years. We have been hoodwinked to think we have a democracy. This has never been a democracy. Come on. I mean, we had slavery from the beginning, and women were chattel. It wasn't until 1913 that they got rights. Women, all women, even rich white women, had 1913 was when they had the right to be a citizen. Not to be property. They were property. Lana, could you be property? And take a nickel. So I gave this speech. I was, supposed to be the keynote speaker for this worldwide, international, blah blah blah. Right? Well, Clarence says, "Okay, Al, I want you for our speech that will inspire everyone to realize there's this new wave of technology that will heal everyone's woes and bring the world together." Right? And that's why we did this internet thing, to show that everyone, because we just didn't bring it to like governments, we brought it out to universities. And really anybody who could get on the internet, worldwide, could be part of this community. And it was going to be a week long too, have all kinds of lectures and stuff. Very much what the New Age community had been doing in the 60s and 70s, 80s. Right? And I was a big part of that. And the Theosophical Society, U.S. Psychotronic Society, all these societies. And, the things like, Burning Man and disclosure in the desert and all those things, the doctor, what's his name, who wants disclosure, and people, now in the Defense Department that want disclosure, and Richard, all those people who have meet together, and well, this was the big daddy of all of that. Right? Anyway, I'm giving the keynote speech, right? The world is watching, and I get up there and I have this speech about the economic blah 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 of all of this, right? I look at it, and I'm thinking, and I basically throw it up in the air, and the things are fluttering all around, and I give this speech about, guys, we really think what, this planet, it's run, and basically I went totally David Icke, about 8 years before David Icke, right? And I talked about how we're all living in a prison planet. We're all controlled. Everything we watch, everything we do, it's all, your credit card is been given to you so they can observe, that we live in a surveillance state. And I'm going on and on and on. And I said, you think nuclear weapons are dangerous? No, they have space-based weapons, and that can, incinerate the world or an individual person, And, I said, have any of you guys read the comic book Captain America? Hail Hydra? That's what's going, so I'm going on and on and on. And I talked for about 20 minutes, and everyone in the audience is like, and I turn around to see the guys who are like men nurturing me to be a world leader, and they're like looking, really giving me the stink eye, right? And I kind of look back and go, and then I'm like quiet for at least a minute, and Clarence comes out and puts his arm around me because I love this guy. I mean, he really appreciates and understands his First Amendment rights. But Al, it doesn't matter. They don't exist. He says that, right? Now the people out there are really up. And that's going across the World Wide Web. Anyway, so I again turn around, and my chair is gone from that table. I am no longer on the high table, because Al, you sit down there, and someone is putting a folding crappy chair, and I'm not even sitting in the audience where they have the nice cushy chairs. They sit me, it's like in Christmas dinner, and the kids sit over there. I get to sit over there where like the exit door is. Soon I'll be the guy at the exit door. Just grab me. Woo! Be gone. And I put this whole thing together. Like my idea, blah, blah, blah. My connections that I've been making, blah, blah, blah. And so the guy say a few things, and they say, the lunch is ready. We're gonna break a couple of hours early and have lunch, and then we'll break up in our little groups. And we got so everyone's ready for lunch anyway. It's about 11. And when I go to the big dining room, again, it's like Christmas dinner, and the kids are the big table in front, above the high table above. My chair is gone. My chair at the high table is gone. And I was going to give that speech they wanted me to give that they okayed all the way up to the seconds after I was introduced. And I had the papers in my hand, and I was looking at the audience, and everyone's like looking up. And I said, well, this is a real interesting opportunity. There's no way they can shut my mouth at this point. And it's going to go all around the freaking world. Well, let's see what happens. So, whoop, threw the papers up, gave the speech. I was no longer on the high table. And when we had lunch, I had all these really not like there's a high table, there are all these nice, tables with tablecloths and really pretty. And again, I am sitting at, like almost a TV dinner like table. It isn't. I mean, it was bigger than that, but nobody was sitting at it, right? And this guy named George Christie, who was the dude. I mean, he was so powerful, and he had white hair, and he was angelic, and always had the $3,000 suit on. And he was never there, but when he showed up, that meant things were serious. So anyway, he basically walks up to my little table, and I kind of knew who he was, but I never talked to him. And he goes, "Can I sit down with you?" And as soon as he sits down, all these guys, waiters come out, and they put a nice tablecloth, and all the, I was just sitting at this little table, but like it's big enough for 3 or 4 people to sit down. And they get him a chair, and he sits down. He goes, "Al, that was pretty amazing." He said, "I haven't seen anyone do that since Nikola Tesla in Chicago, and then in New York." And that's when, because he tried to, at the Chicago World's Fair, he displayed his alternating current and everything it could do. And, Edison's was like a wimp biscuit, And so that was when all the money people said, "Oh, yes, let's go with the AC." And then a year later, or 2 years later, the New York City display where all the bigwigs and money people were. That's where he, showed his idea for transmission of telecommunications worldwide. Right? And that's when Morgan said, "Oh, yeah, I'll give you $1 million." And that looks good. And so George Christie said, "That was pretty amazing, Al. So you passed the test." I said, "What test?" He goes, "Well, all these guys at the table who think they're all such. I mean, they're nothing compared to what we are." Oh, so the high table isn't the top dog. Of course not, And all those other entities are just like boys' clubs. No. We are the ISIS Brotherhood. That's what he called it, ISIS Brotherhood. ISIS, the Egyptian goddess, right? Oh, that's club. he said, we talked about a lot of different things while we were having lunch. He said, I want to meet with you. He goes, you're kind of through here at the UN. Your little NGO will go on without you. And then it would kind of just dissipate. Those people will be taken other places, and your institute, your NGO of alternative aesthetically adept and appropriate technologies, well, no one will even remember it. And this whole thing that went around the world, all these universities and institutions, 2 or 3 years, no one will even remember it. Because all the people who were at this will be offered to make a choice. Whether they want their careers to go up or whether they want to speak and represent the welfare of the people, of the world. And you really showed which way you're going. And so that's the test. And the ISIS Brotherhood was so helpless. I mean, there were no women there. And we named after a goddess. When we precipitate planetary failure through mega materialism and transhumanism and using up all the resources, which are you can't use up all the. This is the Garden of Eden. Everything. This is a planet of abundance. But that can make it look like there's nothing left for anybody. And they said we're already off planet. We are already. We are. Now everything you said in your speech is right on true. We have weapons that can annihilate the planet, right? Or kill individuals. Meaning, wink, wink. That means you, buddy. So, you're a brave heart. We want you. And we're all old farts. We need some young guys. And you definitely know the story. And you didn't tell, all I said that the thing that we need is not more technology. It's love. And then I went into this whole, love cookie. Everything I talk about, I said in 1984. I did not double down like other people who are going on about things in fear. Now, these Palladian guys I like because they're not about fear. And David Icke, I met David in 91 in one of these conferences. And I said, no, this guy's a real deal. And, we had a nice conversation. And I said, buddy, I can tell that this is, it's got your craw. You're not letting go of this. And, no one knows you now. But once they start to know you, you're going to get a lot of blowback. He said, I'm ready for it. I said, okay. And I have to say, David Icke, my hat is off to you, buddy. Because he really, I've never gotten blowback because he went, because he was a TV presenter, he already was on the screen. Me, I was just a guy. I was just the dude. Yes, I could talk to the whole world, but I still wasn't David Icke because he kept doing it. He's done this for almost 30 years, since 91. What is that? 91 to 2001, 2001 to 2011. I'm telling that 30 years. And he's got so much crap, and he's getting more crap. And in the last 5 years, he's gone from, hate the reptile. He always had, he had this one book, I forgot what, Setting Yourself Free somehow. But his books are truly amazing. They have a great deal of information. So I would suggest all you guys out there, go look up David Icke, go look at his stuff. Way, because he has a more global picture, right? The majority of people who have this shit going on, talking about this, that, the other thing, are trying to sell magnesium or t-shirts or whatever. Well, and they have to because, they have a business model. I don't have a business model. And so, David Icke, he has I don't know call it a business. I mean, he makes a living. He's comfortable, but man, they go after him tooth and nail. And he's not a rich guy. So, all you folks who are in England, have you ever gone to a David Icke event? Let's see what we're saying here. Did you hear the good news? Alexa, okay. Take a nickel. I think I can make a property of this earth. Mm-hmm. That is king. Learned that when I drove a taxi in Gutenberg. You drove a taxi in Gutenberg? That must have been loads of fun. I love that town. I just love it. Love it. And what is Gutenberg like now? I hung out in Gutenberg in the between 74 and 77. What's Gutenberg like now? Did you ever go to Amsterdam and go to the milk glass? Milk glass? The Milky Way? It's kind of a communal. It used to be a dairy, big open building. And when I lived in Amsterdam, everyone and his brother squatted. No one paid rent. Right? People squatted so much that the utility companies gave them utilities. In America, you can't do that. Am I in New York City? No. I'm in Virginia right now. I'm in Roanoke. And not last night, but the night before that, someone I haven't noticed on the chat said, "You are exactly here," and gave the address, longitude and latitude, basically saying, "We can hit you with a missile at any time." Then they didn't really say anything else. And, if they were going to take me out, it was a long time ago. The fact that it's only 450 subscribers. Every time I get close to 500, it tries, go down to 360 or whatever. Every time I do a show and I close out, it gives me all the statistics, like how many people watched, how long they watched, all that. And then when I see it go up, two things happen. Not every chat is posted on the show. Some are, some aren't. Does anyone know why? Or maybe what button I need to push or whatever? It's a real quandary in my mind. But it's okay. Because all my shows are up there. I don't take anything down. John does a show, and then he takes it down, right? He's done more shows than I have because he's been on YouTube like since they started. So, and that's why he has X amount of subscribers. He's 100,000 or 70,000 or whatever he's got. But he was there, eons ago. So he's one of those guys who was there. And this guy, John, knows everything about the internet. I mean, he is really, and editing, if you go watch on his channel, the show he put up for Christmas, let's see if he's taking it down. He doesn't leave anything up there. It's pretty amazing. Well, yeah, he's taking it down. And that's what he wants to look like. He wants to be what he looked like when he was 19. Yeah. Well, I'm sad he took, and this is what he looks like now. I think he looks ugly. Yeah. You don't look ugly. But he took down that Christmas thing. And it was a great one, I don't know why he freaking took it down, but he did. Well, that's sad. It really is. No, here we go. He just stuck it someplace else.
It's huge testimony for the Jewish people, and it's very well known that in the early steps of gathering. Hi everyone, Merry Christmas. Right here, it's how to watch more videos, and here's how to write a screenplay up here. The most original one, the most original artist to have ever been, and you've always existed, and you created everything as we know it. Everything good. You're responsible for everything good. Dear God in heaven, please help those people who press like, who click like on this video, and click subscribe, and watch my videos. Help them to please, God, be kind human beings, to do your work on earth and feel okay on earth, to get to be okay on earth, to get to be okay on earth, and to do your work that helps their soul. Maybe by some miracle we'll all get to see one another in heaven for all eternity. We'll have plenty of time to meet everybody, I guess. I don't know. Maybe forever. Okay.
Well, he just there was, trans-actualizing God. And, that's one of the biggest no-nos, in the, 10 Commandments. There used to be 20. And when Moses was coming down, he was trying to juggle like 5 of these big rocky things. He dropped 3 of them, and he only had 10. And those ones he broke were the really important ones, like the keys. This is how this works. I want you to do this. If you do this, it'll be heaven on earth. And he dropped those 3 tablets, and we just got the law. So do this or else. Well, anyway, let's go.
Check out this video. This is a special. Christmas video. This is a special Christmas video, and it's mostly me and Owl Bob. Me and Owl Bob, okay? Oh, Bob. No, and so check out these videos.
Now check out the editing. This is what I want you to see.
It's going to be amazing. These are archived or old videos. These are videos from other Christmases that I filmed with Al, and he's going to be here in a few days, but he couldn't make it in time for Christmas. So I'm going to put these really fun, happy, good videos to watch, and that's it. Merry Christmas. I hope you enjoy Christmas. Bye. Dear God, and Jesus, be with us on earth and in heaven. Amen. For all eternity, God, help us be good and kind. Excuse me.
The only person who can make us good and kind is ourselves, right? In every day and every way.
Look at my little Christmas
Doing our best.
socks. My Christmas Christmas sucks. Hey, oh, cool. Okay, bye. Bye. I love you, Rowan, Ivan, their baby sister, Ayla. Bye. I love my parents, everyone watching, family, friends. Bye. Oh, guess what? I think I'm going to sell my house. I think I'm going to sell my house and move to California so I can work as a movie filmmaker. That's just the same things. Okay. Okay. I'm probably going to go. This house is really special. I think I'm going to go to California and get my kids and live in California. I can't listen anymore. No Mark and Bill. And I've had to try my best ingredients. I became one of the, if not the best, resume holders. However you want to word this, I have one of the best resumes.
This is Christmas. We just saw the crest, and this is what we're saying, John's resume.
It's pretty, I'm not going to say better. Maybe you can look at someone's resume and say, well, is this better or not? But I think that was one of the best. And apparently, you guys have to make your own films all yourself, starting from writing out the idea, doing all the work all yourself. In LA, they have producers, they have people who are working for really creative, original franchise like me. And I've always just amazing ideas to write 100.
And this is supposed to be about Jesus Christ's birthday.
Write all these new characters. Like I could create as many characters as Disney when I'm actually writing screenplays. And that's it. I love my children. I don't know what they are doing in Texas. I'm going to try to get them. They did not come back here in 4 years and 7 months. So I can't keep living alone in here at this special house. It's amazing. You want to buy it? I'll make a deal for you and pay you a few thousand a month. Well, 3,000 a month, 2,400 now. Now you gotta get more than that a month. It's 4,000 a month for 2,400. Maybe for you, 2,400.
This is what he's talking about on Jesus' birthday.
So I'm gonna sell it to people who probably, if they really want to find stuff that's really special. So, here's some videos of me and Al at Christmas time. Yay! Christmas time videos with me and Al. Okay. Bye. Check out these videos. I'm gonna go. Okay. Bye. Hi, it's John Birmingham. Actually, I got to thinking about would I want to live in this house or go out around people? I went on YouTube and I was looking at the shorts, people playing loud music, being around all these people. It was just, I don't want that. It made me want to live further out in the woods, with a wife who loves me. That's what I really like. A wife who loves me, who God wants to be in my life, and my kids, of course, my kids. I already have my kids. There's no other wife that I have right now. I'm single. I'm pretty sure. I'm not with Danica. Okay, she's been kind of. I'm not married to her. We got divorced 10 years ago, but I was hoping to be with her because we had kids together, and it was.
Freud said, when you do the same thing over and over again,
I may be
and expect a different outcome, that is the sure sign of insanity.
I'm not.
I'm trying to understand.
I'll sell this house.
He's pretty neurotic, though.
Work on it more than I ever would have known. I'd have to work so hard on one thing. And
but it's his house. It's a piece of art. You should see this place.
My kids to live with and a wife. It'd be way away from everybody. Because I was just looking at these YouTube videos. I thought, before that, I thought I'd be happy to go to LA and do things my way and make my own.
I thought, I didn't know he would go on and on like that. But look at this. Look at this floor. I mean, look what a great job he did. I mean, this guy, it's art. Everything he does is art. Now, I've been in the real art world in New York for 30 years, and this is right up there. I mean, he's got an amazing life, right? I mean, look at this place, right? Everything he might want, his little workout thing, his professional camera, his Pee Wee Herman bicycle. So I had some sculpture pieces. I would just take junk and then put a nice frame around them and sell them at an art gallery. And once John saw one piece I had left, he did that, which is as good as Well, I'd just take junk, bring it to a guy who I knew, and he matted them, and then put them on really fancy, frames, and I sold them, at 420, for 10 grand. I could have been one of those guys. Well, I was doing too many other things, And my art form was not just that; it was lots of other things. And Julian Schnabel, who I care dearly about, and I think is a great artist. I knew him in New York, and he helped start Collab and other stuff. Kind of lived in my big loft on Canal Street. A lot of artists, when they came to New York, didn't hit it big yet. But see, those folks, like Julian, yes, he unbelievable. He was like John, amazing talent, right? He came from a family that was well-to-do. John's family is well-to-do. I mean, Julian's family is a lot more well-to-do. It's like old wealth, and they were connected in the art world. So when he came to New York, he went to the best schools, just like John did. And he has a lot of talent, like John does. What Julian had was vision and focus, right? Conscious intent. And someone said, "Oh, this guy, he's a friend of mine. Come in New York, needs a place to stay, to land. Can I stay at your Canal Street place?" I said, "Sure. If the traffic won't bother him, sure." And he stayed there for a good while. I got to know him, and so he wasn't in the mix, but within a year, he was selling stuff, showing stuff at Una Bear, and then the guy who ran 420, his name always puts in and out of my mind. No, so like within 3 years, he was, like within 4 years, he was had things at the Whitney Avenue, and that's pretty quick. And then he was selling, his paintings, 50, 60 grand a pop. So every one he did, big, small, in between, 50, 60 a pop. So, that first year he made quite a, and then his, got sold more and more, so he kept knocking them out and making more and more money. But then he decided he wanted to be a rock and roller, right? And was really pretty good. And No Say No was an art gallery that Collab had. And we had lots of art galleries because we would find a space, take it over, and do fun stuff in it. And then we'd find people who had passion to do their thing, and we just basically handed it. And that was like Franklin Furnace. Well, Kitchen, they had their own loft. That husband and wife team that I knew the wife from Juilliard. So they had their own thing going, but we supported them by helping them become a 501c3 and walk them through what we let them be umbrellaed by us. I mean, that was what Collab was. It was an umbrella for people who had the passion, the drive, vision, talent to do something. So, PS1, BAM, what else? Franklin Furnace, the Knitting Factory, and a whole bunch of others, right? And so we would start up art galleries or spaces, performance spaces, and these people, because we didn't want to run them, we just wanted to get as much individual artist controlled culture and not have it controlled by the rich, not have it controlled by the the galleries and the museums. And so we did that. And, and for a good 20 years, Collab still exists. Collab is still pumping out. But what happened after the inseminators of this idea moved on to do other stuff like me, it kind of got co-opted by, Collab became what the system was with this, more, people-oriented, image. And High Table loved that. That's why I was at the UN. They loved me, right? They loved the stuff I did. They loved taking the credit for it, which I didn't want, I didn't want the credit. I didn't care. I just wanted stuff to happen. And that's why I'm doing this channel. I'm trying to inspire all of you folks out there to, in your little neighborhood, make something happen. Because if enough somethings are happening, world will change. And 2022, that we're coming up, tomorrow is New Year's Eve. I want to start thinking, right? When you write something down, you get, I always keep a little, composition book nearby me. I have my phone and my laptop, but they go kafits. Like my laptop is going kafits. Still works. I can still, consciously and come on air and see you guys, and I can still write, but to make things happen, I have to shut it down and then reboot it. And then I can, go into this and go into that. Right. So that's, I'm being told by the things I'm having troubles with that this is going to be happening in 2022, meaning the internet's going bye-bye. The electrical grid's going to go bye-bye. You know what that's going to do to the world? It's going to turn everyone into eating their own leg. Unless people see, the beauty of this is that the High Table, the powers that shouldn't be, et al., the hidden hand, they're just hanging on by their fingernails. Because what's going on all around us, we're into a different plane of existence, another dimension, and we have left the Piscean age. We're in the Aquarian age. We're in the, remember that band in the 60s, the fifth dimension, it's the time of Aquarius. And they go through all the ages and, say exactly what was going on. That was done on purpose. Anyway, they go after that. I had 3 or 4 songs that kind of laid down what was coming. And then they went on vacation, That's what I used to do. I still do. I'm on vacation right now here at John's, right? Let's see. Who else is here? LC, hey there. Well, okay, you want to see the Santa part. Yes. So, and people for ages have been saying to me, oh, you're Santa. And I would say, no, I am Bob, Santa's younger brother in charge of the naughty and nice list. So let me see your palm. Right. And he's still going.
It was these people.
He's still going.
Who like going out.
He's still going on.
People's stuff in other people's houses, in other people's places, and they and they feel comfortable, and that's how they thrive. And they like being in somebody's personal space or in their house. And
I think he's talking about me.
And stuff, and I never was one of those people. I'm more of an introvert, kind of.
No kidding.
But I have the potential. I may be an extrovert sometimes when I'm really.
Now this show is supposed to be about baby Jesus
I like that.
and Christ and Christmas Day. John and Al.
Super extrovert. Okay. Bye. I love you, Rowan, Ivan, Ayla.
Then why isn't he in Texas with them? If he loves them, why is he alone?
Check out all this Christmas stuff with Al. Yeah. First, there's a quick video with my kids opening presents when I went to see them in Texas 2 years ago or 3 years ago.
5 years ago. 5 years ago.
So Okay, and then we'll see a bunch of owl videos for Christmas. Oh, that took a lot out of me. I gotta take it easy or drink a soda or something.
Caffeine.
Okay, bye.
This boy is 16 right now, so it wasn't 2 years ago. This boy is 16. 16. This is the last time he saw his son. His son is now 16. His son wanted to come visit him this summer, and John said, no, not unless everyone can come, you know. So here's a gift he gives his son. And John learned how to play the guitar from his grandfather. Now John buys this guy a ukulele, not even a guitar, right? And John paints it like an art piece. He turns it into John, which is okay.
Yeah. These are like your first guitars.
I don't know how to play the guitar.
I like this kid. He's got his hands squished.
It was in this field the shepherds received news of the greatest gift ever given to mankind.
Hey everybody, this is Santa Claus.
Oh, how you doing?
And he's here to, wish you a Merry Christmas.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, holidays. And here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna play the drums without a drum set. Okay.
Now I like this because that's me 3 years ago, right?
I'm gonna be buff and not drink beer.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be buff. Okay. Here goes. Here we go. This is like almost a tap dancing, but not quite because I don't have tap dancing shoes. Yeah. I'm just gonna play the drums without a drum set.
Air drums.
Okay.
Now this is supposed to be about baby Jesus.
That was the introduction. Don't worry. Here goes.
And what has happened, this is what John looks this is what John looks like now. And this is what I look like now. But I'm not playing my life. So, last night, one of the folk on the chat called John the people's truthful saint. And he is. That's what the beauty of John is. He is. All of that I just showed you is so, I couldn't describe what the human race is doing to itself any better than John, but he's doing to himself. He is the poster boy. Right? And I just walked you through his house here. And, it's so hard to do. Oh, no. This is his place. It was art. It's art. It's a description. And artists make art. And John only can view it as a job and how much money he can make. And, he monetizes everything. Again, the perfect we live on a planet of abundance and everyone monetizes. How am I going to pay my bills? I have nothing and I live like a millionaire, right? But not the millionaire that millionaires think they have to live like. I don't have a big fancy car. I don't have a big fancy anything. I wear clothes I get out of the dumpster. But look at this. I got this out of a dumpster. It is so nice. So who would throw this thing? All I did was wash it. And it was like, I've been wearing it now for a couple of years. It's really a great gift. Everything in my life is a great gift. And I thank God. But I don't use the term God because if you take, that all the way back to Sumerian, it was talking about a dude named Baal. Go find out who Baal was. And if you take that further back, that translate into Richard Cranium. And that's why in the Old Testament, you know, the guy up in the clouds was such a Richard Cranium, whacking people, turning them to salt, you name it. Uh, uh, just post this link. Okay. Lana. Oh, I understand what you know, NGO, non-governmental office. That's an NGO. Still don't understand. You go to the UN and there's all these, the Girl Scouts, they're all there as non-governmental because in the UN there's all these governments, France and America and England and Russia and China and Japan, everybody's as governments, but circled around it to represent the people are these things called NGOs, non-governmental offices. So people have, an issue or a will or a want or all that. It's quite interesting. The folks are all bent out of shape about, global warming and etc. They are the NGOs because they are just kind of being paid. I wasn't paid, and most people in the NGOs aren't paid because those people in the NGOs are rich, right? And they do it like as a hobby. And so, that's the UN. It's really a useless. It was started. The UN was built right next to the UN is Rockefeller, institutes, college, university, power base, and they gave that property and started the UN. And the Rockefeller family, when they were building, because the Rockefeller family basically owns Brazil, because they built Brasilia, meaning the Brazilian capital is built in the middle of the, Brazilian rainforest, like 1,000 miles from anybody, meaning the city, they just kind of cleared out this thing, put an airport, flopped it down, and they got this fancy architect to build Brasilia, right? And that's their capital. They took it from Rio or San Paulo, wherever it was, and just because the Rockefellers said, do this, right? And that's because the Nazis own the place. And the Rockefellers are the Nazis, or at least, cousins of the Nazis, along with the Rothschilds and all et al. And the other, when the Titanic hit the iceberg, the old wealth was all on there. The Biltmores, Guggenheims, all those folks went down with the ship. And that's how the new J.P. Morgan, Rockefeller, those guys, and how that, J.P. Morgan owned the Star Lines. He owned that boat. And there were two boats built in Dublin because that was, in Northern Ireland was the big last refuge of industry of England, big industry, steel, all that. And they built these two great liners, right? And there was the Titanic and this other ship, right? And they were carbon copies of each other, right? And so the Titanic actually got finished first. So, it was launched, put in the water, they finished it up, they took it out on its maiden, before they put people on it, they run it around, see if it works, right? So in the process of doing that, no, it's the other way around. The other ship that wasn't the Titanic got finished first and was running around, and it hit an iceberg from the front, and it didn't, not an iceberg, it hit like something in the port, and it just made this tremendous gash in the side, almost, from the front, almost past the middle, almost to the back, right? And because they were in the harbor, they could get it into the dry dock, lift it up, and fix it, right? So the other boat was coming out, and what happens, the other boat was supposed to be the Titanic, and it's almost like they ran this boat in and had this big gash. So they, just kind of papered it over and called that the Titanic and put it in the water and then fixed it up super glamorous. And that was supposed to be the super duper racehorse go from England to New York, right? And so that boat going was supposed to be the big super duper. Everyone who was in Europe who was going back to America was going to be on that boat, right? So J.P. Morgan there, he owns it. He puts for the big glamorous, hey, this is the boat. I'm not going on a thing, but a couple of weeks before the ride to New York, they have a big party there, and everybody who's anybody like goes and then signs up to go to America on the first ride. It's going to be glamorous. It's going to be great. It's going to be, you're going to be disappointed for the rest of your life if you weren't on this boat. So JP, because he's the star of it, he has all his super duper expensive art, paintings, sculptures. He has about $5 million of like 19 whatever money, and probably it was after the Civil War, like maybe in the 20s, so 1920 something. So that level of money, and it was like $5 or $6 million. So it's like $100 million worth of art today. So he shows it off, and it's there in his tuxedo, and what a groovy guy I am, and this is mine, me, this is me, right? But I'm not in charge of Starliner is, but I own it. So he signed up to go. Everyone signed up to go. And hours before the people come on the boat, he takes all of that art off the boat, right? And goes back to London, right? And people come, get on, and so the boat, when they had the big party, it hadn't been like stamped like safe, hadn't been inspected. And usually those inspections take a week or two. They look at everything. Well, the inspection of the Titanic took 2 hours, right? Well, and I'm looking at that big gas that was, papered over. Anyway, so they take off, and they have the most best captain to be captain of the ship. He's real old. He's got a white beard. He's been on the sea forever. He's got time. His second in command is a guy who's in his 40s, right? He's right behind him. He's got all this. He knows what he's doing. Went to engineering school. Captain is right, so he knows every nut and bolt of this boat. And so when it was inspected, first of all, he complained that the boats were switched. This is really the other boat, not the Titanic, but they painted Titanic on, right? Big Gas is there. He's really concerned about that, and the inspection, instead of taking weeks, takes 2 hours, right? He's really upset about that. Right? Of course, there were a lot of problems on board that boat, and and the biggest problem, he didn't want the boat to go because this boat's running on coal. And, they have a gigantic, big, half the bottom of the boat is coal, right? And there was a fire. Even when the inspectors were there, there was a fire in one of the bunkers that they couldn't put out. It was because coal burned so hot, right? Oh, the inspection, they didn't show that or ask about it. They just 2 hours being, you're good to go. And the second man, very upset. There were certain crew members who were very on top of it, like the telegraph, the guy who does the telegraph, wireless. He was like taken off the boat and put some moron who could probably barely turn, didn't even know Morse code. A few other people who were in charge of safety. And one of the things he was really upset about was it only had half of the lifeboats that it needed to get everybody off. Right? Oh, the safety crews who would lower the boats weren't there. There were these guys who had no idea how to lower the boats. So he just complained, and they got rid of him and put some other guy who was like a yes man in his place. So they tried to go in front of the newspapers and say, "Hey, it's just not." Ooh. And before, so the Titanic takes off. Before Titanic hits the, iceberg, this guy goes missing, never to be seen again. Well, no, the fire is still burning in the bottom of the boat, and the Titanic is flying across the Atlantic, and they're going into the section where all these icebergs. We're supposed to go slow and look out, and they were still going through that like at 20 knots, like a speedboat. And even the yes man was going, Captain, don't you think we should? No, I want to get the record. This, blah, 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 blah. And so basically, then, everything was going. They had the big dinner and the dance and clinking of champagne glasses, and the captain's there. And then he goes down below. Got a little drunk, doesn't feel too good. He goes down below. And so, and he's given orders not to slow down, to go full speed ahead, blah, 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 right? And the crew is, they got a skeleton crew on. And the boat is flying through. And the guy up in the crow's nest, iceberg right there. And so instead of throwing into reverse, the guy tries to steer, right? And so they steer, and the iceberg doesn't, if the Titanic hit it straight on, the Titanic would survive. It would have crumpled the front. But what happened was he tries to steer this way, and that whole edge that was, destroyed when it was another boat, and then they just wallpapered over it, gets, that's where the iceberg goes, right? And right in the front is where that bunker where the coal fire is. So it's super hot. It goes, gets rid of the water rushes in, hitting this super hot coal, turns it in. They have a steam explosion, and it explodes into the boat. And so that's why, first of all, the ship goes along the iceberg and makes a gigantic rip along the whole side from the tip of the front to pass the middle. Then this explosion occurs and blows out everything going that way. So all of those watertight doors, forget about it, right? And that's why the Titanic sunk in less than 3 hours. And they had fires going on too, and smoke and everything. And then the guys who were supposed to be able to put the boats in the water had no idea how to do it. And the few they got in there, they didn't get people into it. And they were, it was a clear night, not a storm. You could see all the stars. The water was like a lake. And there were other boats nearby. But the telegrapher guy had turned it off and couldn't figure out how to get it going, and just got a few, hey, something's wrong. Uh-oh. Didn't give the location, didn't do anything. But there were boats nearby, and they were shining. Look who's here. Look who's here.
Oh, okay.
Say hi.
Hi.
Say hi, John.
Hi.
So anyway, I'm telling a story about the Titanic. Do you know the story about the Titanic, John? John, do you want any breakfast?
I don't know.
I got a nice breakfast here. Let me get you some. I saved you some.
Have a seat. Relax. I don't know if I want to eat it. Keep eating this much food.
Well, the food I'm giving you will make you lose weight. Eating, drinking sodas, and taking the energy bars. That's not this is real food that your body causes the metabolism to go up to digest it. So the food I'm making you, all the food I'm making you, is food that will make you lose weight. And there are other things that we can do. So did you take any of that, that magnesium last night? Did you take any of that?
It was too sugary. I don't want to put it on my teeth.
Oh, John, the amount of sugar in there is nothing. So let's look for some magnesium.
Some magnesium.
It's really good for your energy. It will make you energetic.
I felt like I was like, right now I didn't feel like doing another video, but
Right?
Okay. All right.
Is that you there? Yeah, there you are.
I'm really getting into better shape,
You are.
but then I am.
Yeah.
I've been without the caffeine. I've been kind of like barely walking around and stuff. But once it gets out of your system, see, then I can start working out again.
You know, just walking up on the path would be very good for you. Very good for you.
I think it takes, or whatever it is.
What's it take?
I don't even know.
Do 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 do. Celebrate. Yeah. Oh. Ah. You got a good night's sleep?
Yeah, I finally did.
That's good.
I was awake early in the morning and I went back to sleep.
Good. Me too. I went to bed, I don't know, 10 or 11.
This is pretty good. Because then I'll get my energy back up once I haven't had caffeine long enough.
Right, exactly. And eat food like this because it causes your metabolism.
I got in really good shape when I quit all in medicine and quit all caffeine.
Yep. And that's why magnesium would be excellent for you and other supplements, you know, because magnesium will help you not to be anxious, not to be upset.
You think maybe I could quit my medicine?
And well, first start doing magnesium and get yourself in a more balanced state. And you should actually, I have a bunch of doctors who take care of me. So yeah, I know what I need to do, but it's always good to have a medical person to give you what they think it is. Because you're the decider. You need to make the decision, but to make the decision, you need positive information, you know, good information. Yeah.
I thought I'd go back to the caffeine this morning. I was going to look for those energy drinks.
No, you don't want that.
There's no sugar energy drinks.
Right. No, don't want to do that.
Like all that stuff you talked about that people kind of know what it is,
Yes, I give them.
I never even really knew what that stuff was.
Everyone kind of knows what it is. They just need a little reinforcement, you know?
I didn't know what those schools were that you went to. I didn't know, Trinity. I didn't know what the DARPA. I don't know what DARPA is.
Yeah. Defense Advanced Research Programs.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know about a lot of most of the stuff you talk about that you're like interested in that you think is cool.
Right.
And they have that around here.
Man, it's all around here. That's what tech is. You know?
Yeah, but like I was like one track mind, movies.
Yeah, your family, this, that, and the other thing. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my family, of course, and they're here. But if I wanted to do movies here, I had to do it all on my own.
Well, it's time. If you want to do movies, you got to go to California, basically.
Or I can do it here.
Well, you can. You can do it on.
Get like 100 people together here.
It's a nice little commune. And you got the space here, buddy. You got this big house. And you got the A-frame, and then you got all that stuff up there.
It's wrong without my kids.
Then bring your son. Start with one. Let Rowan come, You wanted to come this summer, you wanted everyone, You got to be able to negotiate.
This looks good.
There it is.
Wow.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That was really nice.
Yeah. Always think of it, Because I want you to succeed.
I get different opinions about Danica.
Well, Danica's just Danica. No opinion. What she wants is what she wants. Right?
Sometimes it's like, really wrong, and I really have to stand up for her.
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes it's like, oh, don't even think about her. You're wasting your time or something like that.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
And so it's like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
Well,
But I know that it's wrong. Like if somebody pulled in the driveway,
right,
and they're the neighbor, and like the neighbor's kid, when he pulled in the driveway, this 19-year-old,
right,
or whatever, he showed up in the driveway and started talking, and he was like, well, maybe we can play music or something like that. And I was like, no, it's wrong to play music with some random kid who's 19, who's not my son. My son's 15.
but your son's not here, and he had the ability to be here, but you wouldn't let him be here. So why don't you just
why would I only be with him? Then I miss the baby and miss Ivan so much.
Yeah, but the baby's not even your baby.
I can't help but to
Your baby.
cry. I've cried about her hundreds of times.
But that little girl was from the loins of another man.
So what? The man doesn't want to be her father.
And her mother doesn't want you to be her father.
I'm the only father. I think I'm the only father she'll ever have.
Mm-hmm. Well,
who loves her enough to be there for her.
Okay.
And it's pretty sad. I don't know. I guess I won't talk about it.
Yeah, why don't you just have breakfast?
It's been so much to try to. It's been so.
You've had 10 years to think about this, to come up with what you really want to do.
I don't know how to.
And you haven't really.
I know what I want to do. I want to be with her and the kids here at the house.
And I keep telling you, if you really want to do that, you will go to Texas and be in that town where they are, so you are there, so they can see you.
I already went there.
Yeah, for a couple of days.
Well, it was 4 months or something like that.
No, it wasn't. It was 7 different times, in 2 or 3 weeks at each time.
One time I may have stayed longer.
You may have
2
stayed.
times.
You may have stayed. But it didn't take. So, that's, if you really wanted your kids and to settle this, so, because if you keep just staying here going, I want my kids, you're going to be here, until you're 90, doing the same thing, saying the same thing.
It's up to her to like me again.
Well, she's not going to like you by you just being here.
She's never going to want to be with me.
Well, she's pretty much.
And it has me in this place where it's like, it's so difficult to figure out how things will be okay again. It's made me here and there and got pretty depressed. I'd say more depressed than everyone watching this and everyone they've ever met.
That's a lot of depression. That's a lot of depression.
I looked up suicide thousands of times. I mean, it was hours a day, laying in my bed wanting to die, looking up how to kill myself because I couldn't figure out how to get to be with her so I can be with the kids because I miss the kids a lot, and also because of course I want to be with a woman I'm in love with who I get to hug and everything. And I don't know, it's awful being single kind of compared to getting to be with someone you can hug and love who's normal. It's normal or you don't hug them. It's weird.
If you hug anyone, it's not weird. Hugging is not weird.
I don't want to go back to being a single person, but for 10 years.
But you are a single person.
10 years now, I've had to live alone.
By your choice.
No, because anytime I tried looking for a new wife, it made it worse and it was wrong.
Why a new wife? Why not just a new friend?
That doesn't last very long.
Well, it lasts as long as it's going to last. all of the long-term
I had
relationships I ever had.
I'm gonna try to eat.
Okay, you eat.
Okay.
You eat.
Thanks for the food.
My pleasure. I'm here to serve you, buddy. I'm your buddy.
It's funny, you literally call yourself a dude. The
Yep.
dude.
The dude.
The dude. I don't like being called a dude.
Well, no, you
It
know.
means that I wouldn't have a family. I'm just a single person. Blessed is the Lord Jesus. Amen.
So
It's
tasty.
like a dude going into an old western town, like the Dude Ranch.
Yeah, the dude. Well, yeah.
Like who's the lone person who goes into a town. Like Clint Eastwood or something.
Yeah.
But
I'm not
but
quite-
you're not 98
I'm not Clint
I know.
You gotta think. Are you lucky? Are you lucky? Are you? Are you? Was that a good Clint Eastwood?
But maybe I'm not as good as the Dude.
Yes, maybe you're not.
I think I'm not.
Yeah. It kind of looks like. You know,
But then how will the baby have a father and turn out okay? It'll be okay.
buddy. I said, if you're really concerned, if you're really interested, you would be in Texas. You would be in their life, but you're not.
It's not my favorite place to hang out.
Well, you know, when you become a parent, you stop.
There's probably a reason why I've been out in the woods this entire time. Maybe I don't like socializing out there.
You don't. That's why you're here.
At
Obviously.
random stuff.
Right.
If I was getting into a movie or something I thought was like really cool with the kids, or if I was with the kids, we could go out to places they enjoy. We used to. That was the best.
Yeah.
That was like when I had no problems. I
Yeah.
could go places with them as a family.
Yeah. Let's see. What is everyone saying here? Anthony, good to see you, buddy. Did you get my email? I sent you a nice email in response to your nice email. And again, all that want to talk to me, individually, not on the World Wide Web, go to the Dude Awake 42. Or the Dude Awake 42. I think that's what it is. I don't remember. It's kind of that. Go back and look at other things where I got it. I think it's the Dude Awake 42. Anthony, is it the Dude Awake 42? Man, are you still there? And MK. Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah.
Well, really good, like the whole day's food that you made.
Well, it's still me. And I'm still making good food.
Okay.
The other stuff you ate was pretty good.
Yeah.
You just didn't like the idea of a baby pig in the crock pot.
No.
So, okay, good, you got it. So, I'm just checking because my everything internet, blah, blah, blah. It's like I have no idea what I'm doing, and B, it's starting to be weird, and that's why I keep saying 2022, the thing they're going to do this year is basically because they've tried to put everyone in a silo, this team against that team, and they wanted to ferment a civil war in America, and they not gonna. It didn't take like they thought, right? And I showed you that thing, that guy. So New York State is now going to make it that if you talk against and don't get your and don't get your booster you will be put in jail, and you won't go to court. You won't have, jurisprudence. You won't have any of your rights. And, the HEPA Act won't, they can just look at everything. And that's New York City. As of January 5th, kids in New York, I would start to get a little, and then, so all those people who work in Wall Street, who live in Connecticut, will have to go through every time they go from Connecticut to New York, they'll have to be in quarantine for 5 days. I love it. CDC said, even if you don't have this, Even if, but if you were like walking by someone who might have had it, you're going to have to be in quarantine for 10 days. Well, then they say, oh no, just if you don't show anything, just 5 days. You know, so they're doing everything they can to just destroy the economy of this country and really crush the poor little guy who has a mom and pop store. Well, they've been trying to do that for the last 2 years. It really hasn't. It's hurt a lot of people, a lot more than has. But so this one, they're just going to throw, and it's a lot like what the Nazis did, because they didn't say, oh, we hate the Jews just because we hate them and we're nasty people. No, what they did was,
because Hitler got made fun of by Jews when he was a kid.
yeah, and I don't know about that, but what it was a more political economic thing. They want to take their stuff. That's basically it. And they didn't want them. I mean, they were the educated crew, the people who were, we shouldn't, So they put them all in a camp. And the other side of the thing, they put, they had 6 million of them so they could experiment on them. And when you biologic / genetic experiments on people, it's best if you like fruit flies. Why do we do genetic studies on fruit flies? Because we can breed them to be one strain. And then they come up like every, a day and a half, there's another generation of fruit flies. And that was the Jews. And so they Nazis, they're dirty. If you look at their propaganda film, you see all this, when John last night was going on about the Hasidics and the big noses. I mean, that was straight up.
What's big noses?
Last night, you had channeled.
Jews.
You channeled.
I said Jews.
Yes.
I have to think about what would be appropriate to turn it into a music video.
I don't know.
Just saying Jews by itself is racist.
No, it's like saying blue. Let's see. Yes, Anthony, you're my Mr. Agent Man. Anthony, did you ever see that 1960s TV show about, and McGowan was the actor in it, and he was a spy, and he was rebelling against what he was doing, and so he was put on an island. I forgot what it was called, but it was one of those very interesting shows, just like the Avengers. Remember the Mrs. Peel, Every Man? I was probably 14 when that came on. Boy, did I love Emma Peel. I was just like, she's so beautiful. I can't believe it. Look at her. Ah! And little did I know that within years, all the women in my life would be like her, and they'd be way older. My first girlfriend, when I was at the seminary, she was a senior. She was 18. I was 14. My next real girlfriend, when I went up to this prep school in the mountains of New Hampshire, and I would take the New York to Boston shuttle, my next girlfriend was a stewardess. She was 23, and I was still like 15. And she'd see me a lot. She'd be on that and go back and forth and forth. And about the third time I saw her, she goes, "So what? You're wearing a suit, and what is up with you? And you're not like anybody else on this airplane. I mean, you're like another species, because she was going to college also, and she was studying anthropology, sociology, genetics. And she interesting, smart girl, and she was also a stewardess. And why she liked the stewardess? She made a lot of money. She met really interesting men and pleased them and made money off of that. And she loved men in uniform. So she was always hankering for some pilot. And she was built for hankering, right? But when I was a sophomore, end of sophomore year, I was going home for summertime. No, I was going home for Christmas. And she I'm about to, no, actually, I was coming back from Christmas. And that was the Christmas I had the whoop-de-doo of, I didn't make it to my family's Christmas anything. And I spent the whole Christmas with this woman I met at this place where people, I was just walking down Lexington and I ran into these really tall people with blonde hair and everything black, and they had black capes. And, do you want to know the meaning to the universe? You want to be the controller of your life? I said, yeah, that sounds pretty good. And, I went there and they were Scientologists / aliens. And they just brought me to this skanky office on 3rd Avenue and had me stuff envelopes, and there's this really pretty girl, and we're both looking at the envelopes, and I looked at her and she looked at me. I said, so how long have you been here? She said, well, about an hour before you showed up, I've been here. And I said, what, this is the meaning of the universe? She goes, this sucks, let's go. She goes, you want to go? And I'm like, well, you've been here 2.5 hours. I've been here 40 minutes. I guess you know better. So, yes. She goes, do you like Boo? And I go, you mean, yeah, in limitation. It's okay. It's okay. So we go to her house, smoke a little Boo. We drink a little whiskey. Feeling pretty good. She goes, you want to take a shower? I said, well, I don't know. But and she started taking off her clothes and taking off my clothes. Anyway, long story short, pretty much until I got married in 2027. I mean, until when I was 27, in 1977. I basically, all the girlfriends I had were always older than me. Some a lot. As I got older, that difference was like they were maybe a year or two, but pretty much I had one girlfriend when I was 18. I was 18 and she was 88. We were Harold and Maude before the movie, and she was amazing. And she grew up in India. Her father was English. He was an astronomer, and she hung out with all of the guys who were coming to New York and America to, in the 60s or the 70s no, it's the 60s when I was going out with her. They were, all those gurus who came from India, right? There were about 20 of them, or 12 really. When the book autobiography of a dude was published, that's when people got, I want to learn how to be enlightened. And so anyway, she grew up with all these guys from like infancy until she was ready to go up to college in England, until she was like 17, 18. And she was amazingly, she was, she had all these like scientists and scholars since she was an infant taking care of her, teaching her. She knew like 7 languages, when she was 17. She knew physics like, Einstein. I mean, she was a pretty amazing girl. And so she goes up there, but up and then she knew how to meditate. She knew how to, ascend, how to, go into her Akashic record. I mean, she was like really the first person to put me, not the first, she was the first person I lived with, but I was intimate with that lifestyle, right? So that was, that's why I am the way I am, so. But the airline stewardess, she was loads of fun. Let's see. Anthony. Anglo, you freak. It's lovely. Okay. I'm your agent. Yep, you're my agent, man. Just like what was that TV show? And he's living on an island. And that's all I can give you there. Let's see, Lana. What's Lana saying? Dude, when you said about your birth, yep, yes, all the male in my life were like 50 years older than me. Grandpa Stoll, Billy Kluver, a whole bunch of, George Christie, a whole bunch of people. And, when John was, who do you know is famous? I named these people. These are more than famous. Everyone who's famous in the media are just a poster child. And yes, a lot of them are really talented. But when guys like John Lennon, Jimi Hendrix, Mr. Doors, and Marilyn Monroe, all these people who became famous in the media and theatrical movie stars and A-listers, the ones who died, John Belushi, all those folks who died of a overdose, I would say, were murdered because they were at a point in their involvement where they were going to break away. It's just like Jim Carrey, and now he's like the most popular comedian ever, and then we don't see him. And every time he goes on some TV show or something, he is ridiculed and played as a crazy dude, right? But he's like ascending right in front of our eyes, right? You're never full, right? What? Oh, I can't see that. I have to go into darkness. Let's see. Man, are you single? Man is sweet, Exactly, man. I'm an idiot. What can I say? I didn't say I like, everything that comes out of my mouth. Don't believe a word I say. And also, it's kind of, you kind of have to think, put things into context to the story. But my stories are all over the universe because I'm trying to show you guys that we do not live on a linear time base. We are dimensional characters. We are 5-dimensional beings living in a 2-dimensional. So these stories, why you feel, I feel like good inside, and I feel I don't know, but I like this guy. And you can call me an idiot, and it's true. I'm a moron. What can I say? But in every way, I do my best. I'm not perfect, so I'm just doing my best. I can be a moron. I can be an idiot. It's the what it is when you're living in the 2-dimensional linear world, and you're over the 5 dimensions. You seem to be, people will call you insane or this or that or whatever, right? But when people talk to me, they go, "Well, this guy ain't nuts," and he's just. He's not even an old, idiosyncratic guy. No, he is just the dude. Anyway, broken heart. Idiots that are fuckboys. See, I was never too interested in sex. All the people who I ever was intimate with, they were way more into it. But once I get me scratching, and once I get woo, then I'm all in. I mean, all in, meaning I'm not, when I'm doing it, I'm not thinking about anybody but you, right? When I'm with you, I'm not thinking about, oh, look at that pretty girl over there. No. But if I'm not doing, I have other things to think about, universe, time travel, physics, humor, art, writing my novels now. That's what takes up a good deal of my time. I love it, Lana. You always have to preface, I'm an Albanian in Sweden, right? Which is, I love it because just the visualization. I'm not going to say anything, Lana. I want you to describe Albanians, right? Oh, and in the 60s, early 60s, I didn't have a car, I didn't have money, I would just take off and thumb my way. I had my little pack with me, and I had a few of my, hand tools, and I would, wherever I went, I could like, oh, I'm a pretty good electrician. Uh, and that's everyone who wants to be free. You have to learn a specific, something that you are passionate about, love about. That's kind of a trade that services other people's needs, right? And so I have a lot of skill sets like that. I'm a negotiator, I'm a photographer, I'm a filmmaker, I'm an electrician, they don't do it anymore because of digital world, but I used to paint billboards, do the picture, right? Because I knew how to do trompe-l'oeil, and so I could do perspective, because that's what scenic design is all about. The making the eye see something on a two-dimensional plane, seeing it three-dimensionally. So that was like digital art before digital art, trompe-l'oeil. So I have lots of really serious things that I can offer people. But today, virtually everything I do, except maybe being an electrician, is on an app. So anyway, the dude awake 42 at Gmail, the dude awake 42 at Gmail is where you can get a hold of me. And if you want to put anything into PayPal, I'd love it, because I got all of 3 cents right now. But I'm up here, and there's food, and it's warm, and I don't have to go anywhere. And I'm seriously working with John, because you saw the conversation we had. We're talking now. He's like, maybe I don't, because before he would, oh, it's only that, He's like, flying. So maybe by end of January we can take a road trip up to New York, which will by then be the death, the Nazi camp of America will be New York, because I got all that land in upstate New York. I mean, there's more land up there than you can imagine. Let's see. My car is a split right now. I don't know what that means. Oil. Done. Right. ORAJT. Lana, what does that mean? I don't know what these. I'm like a caveman. I'm caveman. YouTube dude who doesn't know your language. I don't know tropes, and I don't know slash tags. That's what I call them, slash tags. I didn't make it to be Albanian. Keep your word all the time. That's the bottom line, and that's why I think you guys watching this, because that thing I played you initially from the Palladians, the light workers, had an amazing deal of truth in it, right? Stuff I know, right? And that's why I played it. But I wanted you, so you're going to have to go back and watch this, the very, 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 very beginning. And I played a good chunk of it. And I want you to, like, when you go to bed, put that on your little phone and play it, and just kind of relax and listen to it and see, this is an exercise, conscious intent, I am, conscious awareness, I am. And pick out what's truth and what's propaganda, because all propaganda, the best propaganda works with about 20% truth, right? Gets a hold of you. And, then the other 80% is lies and, ill will and anger and frustration and ego, right? So I want you to go listen to that and see what that is. Is it any of that, or is it all truth, or how does it strike you? That's kind of what I want to hear from you. And let's see, we've been on now for 2 hours, 20 minutes, and 5 seconds. There's 4 of you here, 8 likes. Thank you for all of that. And like I said, anybody want to get Elena, you want to get a hold of me? Anthony, anybody, just keep getting a hold of me at the dudeawake42@gmail, right? And I'd love it if somebody could throw something into your PayPal. It still seems to work, because there are a few people who, pretty every month they throw something in there for me, which is very nice, and they have limited resources, and so that's what it is. Whatever from a nickel, I don't think you had to send. I think at least $5. So they send me between $5 and $50, and that's great. More people did it, it'd be great. If people used to throw me bigger chunks, that was nice. It would last me longer, right? So I'm not on the bop. I'm on the bop. Not in the deep green where it's all good because I can eat but 40% of what I eat I get from from the forest, and then another 20% grows in my garden. So I'm left with getting cheese and dairy and other vegetables that didn't grow in my garden because I'm pretty high up. I'm at 3,200 feet. So my tomatoes, I still have frost in June, right? And there are days in end of June and early July I can get frost. So there are a lot of plants that don't, and I'm in the forest, so I don't get the kind of sun if I was in a big field. I have a little chunk, and it gets a good deal of sun, like from around 11 a.m. to around 2 in the afternoon. It gets sun, but when it gets that sun, it gets pretty toasty. So. Helping folks you love, man, is first and foremost. Well, everything it's not a order. It's a hey, you might find this interesting. That's basically it, man. And you are on the path, Lana, in your own way, and that's why I love you. You're not. You're doing it your way. You are like the Albanian Swedish Frank Sinatra female. I did it my way, but you're not just doing it your way. I did it the we and me's way. I'm doing it love's co-creation way. You are doing all of that. Very nice. And you all are. That's what I love about it. And you're all doing it in your own way. That's what no one's in lockstep, all wearing gray suits, going, "Oh, Bob, oh, but no." You're all, doing it your own way. And I love that about you guys. That's what I want. You're doing everything. This is the way it should be. Everything is as it should be, pretty much. So it's all good. I don't even know how to turn on the auto spell thing. And anyway, I love misspelling everything, because every English word is actually a spell. I mean, every word you read in English, it's spell. It's like that apple, that mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? Snow White. What? What that bitch? I'm gonna get her this. I'm gonna give her this poison apple. Right? That is spelling. If you guys haven't figured it out, and in Hollywood, why do they call it Hollywood? Because every evil magic wand ever friggin' made had Hollywood as its magic wand. So there it is. Hollywood is a magic wand to make you believe, make you act, make you be something you're not, and what's not love's co-creation. Right? I mean, just look what it did to John. Mirror, mirror, I'm what I am. That a girl, sweetie. That's what I love about her. She hits it right on the nail every time. So what else is new? A nice breakfast, fed John. I'm gonna clean up. I'm gonna pretty much how you do really good cooking. You kind of have. It's like what Grandma does. Cooks all the time. Chops this, makes that, but the food isn't ready until the next day. You always have a pot, and I found this uber gigantic crock pot. I mean, super big, like a gallon's worth, maybe more, maybe 2 liters. And I went to LA a few years ago. It's so dreamy up in the hills. Not sure if COVID destroyed it. It was, up in those hills, and that's kind of where who's the guy who killed everyone? Manson. Oh, I got stuck there for a minute. Um, well, there's Lynn C. No, you're right on time, Lynn. See, that is the mark of everything. Just perfect timing. And that's another thing I'm kind of winding into these stories is to expose you guys. It's not when people tell you to jump. It's when you say, should I go, should I go, should I? And that's what people mostly do. So they always go in the wrong time. They either go too early or too late. The thing is, and you have to visualize this. I was telling one of my adepts this, and they are really getting excellent with the timing thing. And I said, you just see, you're standing on the side of a lake of shit, right? And you got to get to the other side. And every now and then, the shit separates for a space just big enough for your foot. So should I go now? And then if you're waiting too long, that space closes up. And if you went there, you'd step in the shit, right? So the thing is to step, and that's what Jesus did. When Jesus walked across the water, well, what was going on underneath him? Turtles and fish and reptiles and squid were popping up, and he was just walking along, and these guys were just underneath the water. So the people at the shore couldn't see the turtles and the squids and the fish supporting Jesus as he walked across. And look, he's walking on water. No, he had perfect timing. He stepped right when he knew, and he didn't know. He had faith that Love's Co-Creation was going to put that turtle right where his foot, and he could just walk right across that sea, right? And Lana, that's what and Lynn, that's what you're doing. You are learning perfect timing. You're not late for nothing. You're here right on time, right? So today, we are, we just this is the preparatorial part. It was the 2 hours and 28 minutes and 28 seconds. And we're now at a place where we're prepared, ready to go, perfect timing. We can step and not step in it, but step on it. What are we going to do? Have that word underlined. Action, word, do. Our best, underlined adjective, descriptive word. The movement towards, in every day and every way, taking the piece of the earth and making it stronger in Love's co-creation. So what are we going to do for 2022? And we don't have to do it like as a movement, blah, blah, blah. Lana, what do you think of that little girl, Inga Ding Dong, or what's her name? Who's all, oh, I'm so sad about the earth is dying and I'm going to have to be a grown up in it and I'm here to demand that you fix it, blah, 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 right? Now, is that girl a stage actress? Is she a plant? And she is what, in the good old handbook would say a obstructionist, Timing, crossroads, exactement. Yeah. So, yeah, you're on it, Lana. Let's see. And journalism is pretty much it's journalism is really propaganda, really. She has asparagus level 4 and 2 parenta that are journalism. Okay, so that kind of states it. She's a plant. She's asparagus. She's a plant. I love you, Mana. And that's my spelling. My total destruction of spelling of the English language is that other things pop out of it. It's like, say what? She is a goblin. Oh, I like that. Yeah, whenever you use the word goblin, I think of all of those Hanson creatures in the Black Diamond, kind of children's, Grimm's fairy tale that David Bowie was in. So yeah, she looks like those little goblin-y puppets that Hanson did for that movie. Okay, apogee. Okay, gotcha. Thank you, Lana. But I still like asparagus as a plant. See, I'm blind. You may be spelling things correctly, but I can't see them. Okay, I got you. I get it now. Thank you for and you again. I make the mistake and kind of go, "What's he saying?" Then you had to come back and be specific. That's like a little, exercise. Okay, our sensei doesn't understand what I'm saying. Okay, I have to be specific. And see, I'm real specific. I'm all about etymology, where words, things came from, right? So I have this tape recorder in my ear that I hear everything, and I play it back to people. People just go blah 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 blah, and I have no idea what they're saying, right? They have no idea what's coming out of their mouth. So I play it back. So back in the day when I was a corporate negotiator, I was really good. Not only was I tape recording it here around the conference table, I had those little, security cameras that you see in the stores, those little balls. I would have them all around in front of everybody. And I'd have this little laptop that would be, little screens on the big screen of all those people. I just had to hit the screen and it recorded everything, but it would save that point. So I could go back and look at it in that guy, And I could type in, this is when he's being a jerk, or this is when he was, So people would say stuff. They say, I didn't say that, and I just hit the button, and on the big screen in front of everybody, there they would, and I had the volume turned all the way up, so they would be screaming out what they said. I didn't say that. Hit the button, bang, ah! And they'd be like, And that's how I could get really rich, stupid people to agree. It's almost like twisting their arm. But I would take it to the point where they would heal the neuroses that was in them. So they would love, by the time everyone is ready to sign the contract, they'd all be hugging and kissing each other. Oh, I'm so happy that we could get along, blah, 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 blah. And then when I died and was out of the scene for 6 years, they took what I did and made it an app. So when I called, I took my little black book and looked up these people and said, hey, I'm still alive. Oh, I thought you were dead. Not really. Well, hey, you got a job for me? No, we've replaced you with an app, So that's, one of the interesting things. Let's see, parents, asparagus, Easter's, okay. Like the Tesla wannabe man. What's his name? There were a bunch of them. Oh, yeah, they give nightmares. Yep. And nightmares are just, when I left my grandma's house after she brought me up the first 7 years of my life and went back to my crazy family, which was like going back to having 8 Johns in your house and no one else. I couldn't get out of bed when I had to take a piss late at night. So I pissed in bed. And my parents, oh my God, he needs to go see a shrink. And my grandma says, no, he doesn't. He just needs to come back and live with me, which when my parents, fine, so I did. And she took me to a movie that came out in the 50s, and it was called Forbidden Planet. And it was the story of Gilgamesh, upgraded. And it was the Star Wars of its day. It had really amazing, they shot it in 70 millimeter with, super duper Panacolor and Panavision, and it was an amazing image, right? My grandma and I, we used to go watch movies. There was a movie theater not far from our house. It was a big movie theater, had 800 seats, not like the megaplexes of today of like 50 little theaters. This was, you stuck a lot of people in to see the movie. And And they had 4 shows a day. They had one at 11, one at 3, one at 6, one at 9, and so we went to see this movie, and my grandma made me sit in the front row and look straight up like this, the whole movie. And part of our tradition, we would go to the movies, and then we go to Shrafts, which was right next to it. Had great Sundays. And we have a Sunday, and we talk about stuff. And so that time we go to see the movie, and my neck is killing me. I'm having, Grandma, why did I? You sat in the back. Why did I sit in the front? And she goes, well, when the monster came out, what did you see? And because how they made the monster in this movie, they didn't computer graphics or green screens or anything like that. What they did do was they had Disney animators animate the monster on the frame, the 70 millimeter frame. And so the monster, if you sat, like 10 seats back, the monster looked real. Sit in the middle of the house, the monster real back. Wow, you thought the monster was going to come out of that screen and get you. But sitting in that front row, looking straight up, you could see the scratch lines, because that's how they they scratched into the material of the film, and so it was instead of painted on, it was part of the film, which made it even more real. So go watch that movie. It's called Forbidden Planet, right? And so I'm watching this, and I'm seeing the monster, and she goes, "So what did the monster look?" And so I said, "Well, it's interesting in that I could tell, because my grandma was super duper into movies, everything about how they're made, the lighting, you name it. That's how I kind of got into theater lighting, was through my grandmother, right?" And so she knew everything about. She read every, not just Tab Hunter and this is having sex with that. No, it was like how to make movies and what the movie makers were and who the directors were and the producers and the whole. She was totally gaga about movies, because she said it was like the subconscious of the Western world. So she goes, well, that is exactly why you're pissing the bed in your parents' house. You're scared of this monster, but you can't even see the monster. You just know it's there. But now the monster is this artificial thing scraped on, the film. And that was the first time I ever heard of Plato's metaphor of the cave, right? And she explained it's just like Plato's cave. And she explained what it was all about. The people in the cave were chained to the back wall of the front wall of the cave, and the door was over there. They couldn't even look at the door. They didn't know the door was out. Didn't even know there was an outside world. And so the outside world, the light came through the doorway and projected itself on the wall of the cave, and that's all they could see. So they thought that was reality. So that's what we're exposed to. We are in the cave. Our heads are chained. All we can see is the shadows. And the only way you can illuminate yourself is by going into state, breathing in that prana, and putting the light inside of you. And because the light coming through the doorway is incandescent light, so there's shadows. The light that's inside of you is photonic light, so there are no shadows, right? So let's see what you're saying here. Spectrum, Tesla Man, what's his name? There are lots of them. So Anthony, the nightmares are just the scratchings on the film. Once you know that, then you won't be scared by anything. And when you use conscious intent, I am. Conscious intent, I am. Conscious intent, I am. Oh, you'll see everything coming, a mile away. And you either get out of the way so that what's ever coming won't even know you were there, or you get yourself, whenever you've been bullied, whenever anyone said something mean to you, whenever you were kind of blindsided, wouldn't you like to have known it a mile away so you can decide whether to get out of the way or prepare yourself to say that thing, right? So they come up, they're about to open their mouth, and you go blah, 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 and drop the mic. Atlanta, this is something is built for you. You are the girl who's built for dropping the mic, right? So really, really get conscious, aware, meaning aware of what's going on, right? So you can have then conscious intent, I am. Conscious intent, I am. conscious intent I am. Because Lana, you are so good at just taking it off the cuff and making the comment, right? And you know you can say anything to me, and you do, and you know I'm not taking it personal, and I'm looking deeper into what is in your heart when you say these things, and I understand. That's why I love you. That's why I think you're great, and why you're so good for the chat. So, but if you were to use conscious, and everyone needs to practice conscious awareness, I am conscious awareness, and when you do that as your mantra to go into, I can't meditate. First thing you do, there must be some place. Lana, tell me, is there any place that through your whole life, as a little kid, as a teenager, as a young adult, to whatever age you are now, that was a place, a park, your backyard, attic, some place that you could go to that you were totally at ease, that you felt unconditional love? Pretty much anywhere I go, I feel that all the time. So, but there were many places when I was younger, before I was, tutored to be in this state at all times. And again, back in the day when I was, he's amazing, at 16, I was so full of myself because everyone told me how amazing I was. I believed it. But I was like 0.03% amazing, and the rest, moron, right? That shows you how much everyone else is a moron. So anyway, when I hit about 16, I had this guy who was a total, Carlton Haynes, the first Marlboro Man. He was like, I have a lot of stories about him. And he's like 36 and I'm like 16, he's, 20 years older than me. He kept, you're my best friend. He had no friends. I was the only friend he had. And that's because from ever, I've always, you're my friend, I got your back, right? And that's like when I was in, third to eighth grade, I had this crew, the 10 of us, and we were all, nobody would, all the pretty girls wouldn't let the girls sit at their table. All the jocks wouldn't let us sit at the table. These people would, even the dweebs and the geeks wouldn't let us sit at there. So we had our own thing, and we didn't, good, fine. And we didn't go, I hate those people. No, we were just grooving on our crew, right? And we had loads of fun, right? Because we all had each other's backs all the time. So whatever anyone said, nothing. And what was truly amazing, and this is when I realized that boys were inferior to girls, was that the girls were always ready. Kim Romano, who's the most gorgeous thing in the universe that I'd seen to that time, and Debbie Soul was amazingly beautiful. Lisa Stiles was very attractive, and the other girl, Dee, all the girls were really good looking, but the girl, because every one of those girls who were really good looking didn't have to wear the clothes that, they wore whatever they want. We all wore kind of whatever we want. And, weren't wearing, weren't putting on makeup by fifth grade, and the girls, they had the conscious awareness way before any of us had it. The guys, the six of us were like, had no idea. And I don't know how many times, I remember this one guy is really picking on me. And I'm like I'm like looking over here, looking at how the light is deflecting off of this and what, particle is over there. And, so this guy is seriously picking on me. He's about to physically do something to me. And Kim Romano just came from stage left, walked straight up to him, boom, knocked him, into Tomorrowland and then just starting to kick the ever-living crap out of him because, he was down and she just kicked, between the legs, and stomped his head, jumped up and down on his chest. She was trying to kill him because her father, this guy's father, was a real jerk, just like this kid, and kind of picked on her father. And so she was and her father was like, eh. So she was making up for it because her mother was, Xena, the queen, and she left. She couldn't take that little town and everything in it, and she grew up in it, and she just, even though she had, a bunch of kids. She took the really young ones and let Kim to like protect her father, because Kim was like really loved her dad. And so it's just Kim and her dad, and her mom took the little ones away and went off to be Xena, the princess. And Kim was, her mother, left when Kim was maybe 8. And so I met Kim the next year, 7 maybe. Whatever you are in, what are you in 3rd grade? But the year before she got 3rd grade, that's when her mom left. And she, so her mother taught her how to be Xena, the warrior princess, and knew she could take care of herself. Hey, buddy, come on, sit on down. Join the party.
You got happy.
Good. You got happy.
Yeah.
So
Hi.
I was talking about my crew in 3rd grade and how Kim Romana came off the stage left. And this guy was picking on me, and I had no idea I was being picked on. And Kim beat the ever-living snot out of me.
Oh,
I mean,
man.
First she just bang, knocked him on the ground. Then she jumped on his chest. Then she kicked him in the head. And then she went after his nuts, right?
Yeah.
And just took him out seriously. And she didn't get in trouble because the kid was so embarrassed that a girl that was, 1/3 of his size beat he was like the big bully. He could beat anybody up, but this little girl beat the ever-living snot out of him.
Oh, that's terrible.
And his father didn't want the kid to say anything about it because it would look bad on his dad. So Kim then started beating up all of the bullies in school.
You want to try to go to LA if it gets too cold?
Yes, sounds like a great idea.
Okay. And then we can do
And you're going to pay for everything, right? I have no money.
Yeah, but I can't pay you a bunch of extra cash too.
Well, you have to give me some cash so I have
$1,000 on you.
Yes.
So if anything
and it goes wrong, I can get yes, exactly. Yeah,
Okay.
Sure. No, that's it. You heard it. You heard it first, gang. Right? You heard it first. So, yes, I'm all for that.
Because it is nice weather.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You know the way it sounds like.
This is the time to go. I mean, we have lucked out that it's been like California here, and you know what's going to happen? We will have 2 or 3 days next week or the week after. That'll be a little cold, like 50 during the day and maybe 20 at night, which will give us a taste of what the winter.
Well, we'll see. Maybe
it could be like this
warm
for the rest of the winter.
every winter.
Right, exactly.
Because of global warming.
Right, but
I want to go to LA.
Let's go to LA. Yes.
But see, I'm of course I'm going to miss my kids here and there, so I want to get Rowan on the way back.
Why don't we get Rowan on the way there? I mean, we go to LA, right? And like I don't know this for sure, but I'm pretty sure there's a pretty cheap flight from LA to where are they? Houston or Dallas? Where do they live? Houston? Yeah.
Somewhere outside of Houston.
Well, I'm sure there is a
Houston.
really inexpensive flight that goes from LA to Houston, right? And you go there, we get
I was too
get him and then take him to LA.
Yeah.
He would love LA. And that would solidify your
You
relationship.
need to go from here to Texas?
No. From here to LA, get something going there. Then you and I go get him, visit there, and say, hey, Rowan, you want to go to LA? You can stay with your dad. We got a place to stay. We got work.
Yeah.
We're doing this. We got everything ready. Come on, let's do it. That would solidify your relationship. That would be it.
Yeah.
All these years that you haven't been there, this will be it for it. So yes, let's do it. Let's shake hands. Come on, let's shake hands.
Okay.
We're doing this.
Ow.
See this? We're doing this.
What are you doing?
We're shaking
Stop.
hands.
Okay.
We shook hands on it.
No, yeah.
We shook hands on it. You saw it first, gang.
Ow. Shake people's hands?
Yeah, that's how I shake people's hands. Yep.
Like you shake it really hard?
Well, that wasn't really hard.
Some people do that.
That wasn't hard. You want to see? You want to see what hard is? I'll show you what hard is.
No, I don't want that. It's okay.
I have I've had these hands. I'm with bending like metals my whole life. And then I was a healer with these hands. These hands are like high voltage, super duper. So that, no, he's gone. But we made it. Oh, you're here. Oh, he's here. He's here. He's here.
I had a little bit of caffeine.
Okay. A little bit of
That's what I was doing the other day, but I had a bunch of it.
You had a bunch of it, right? So what are we saying here?
I'd like to stop wearing this, like, this shirt. It looks like,
Well, take it off.
I don't know.
Take it off. It's warm. Take it off.
It's under-
Take it off.
I gotta pee.
Well, pee. Go pee. Yes, go pee. Yes, the woods. The forest. Yep. So now, of course, I don't erase any of my shows. I mean, you can find them. YouTube has made it tough because they have actually put them in packets that they think they make sense being together. I mean, I don't name. What do I name these things? Like, what did I name this thing? It's like there's nothing, and then in things on the bottom, the instruction every time. Love is all there is. Love is all. So to try to find anything. Like what I call it is like, so let's say, what was that thing you did about blah, blah, blah? I don't know. So, and that's what the show is supposed to be. You're supposed to kind of go through it all. And the most important thing will just be there for you. It's again, another one of those perfect timing things. So I don't take anything down. I don't think, I'm embarrassed. I'm going to take this down. Let's see. Go, John, go. Yep. And that's why I'm here for John, because I want to see him succeed. Because if he ever gets it together, he's going to be amazing, right? And then I can retire. He'll take care of me, right? But I have others that I do, work with who really respond quite well. They're pretty amazing. And so I have a whole cadre. I have this cadre, then I have the adepts, and then I have a whole nother. It's like the blue cadre, the green cadre, and so there's others that, once they catch fire, they'll be sending me the corporate check. So.
I feel lonesome.
Well, I'm here.
I want a wife to.
I'm here. But all we got to do, John, is go to LA, get something going, go get Rowan really excited about being with us, then have him go back, and he will be the inside man. Mom, John is so cool. We did this. John is doing this. Well, that's how you're going to get her back. Not you sending her. No. This is how you want to know how to get her. We go to LA. We get something happening. We then go get Rowan, bring him there, get him excited. Then let him go back to Texas, and he will go, Mom, John is so cool. Dad is great. Unbelievable. And that's when everybody will come back to you, John. But you sitting here all by yourself, not going to happen. Wishing for it to happen, not going to happen. You can see that,
I don't
right?
wish. Wish is like
you keep saying that. I can play back this head. Well, I wish they would come here. I wish.
I don't say wish. I don't use the word wish.
Okay, I will get the videotape and go look at.
I don't use the word wish.
Well, watch
the occult.
Well, John,
I'd like them to come here.
And just go watch the video that you made of us last night, and you said wish about 50 times. Just the show we did last night.
I don't say.
Well, go watch it. Just go watch it.
I couldn't have said the word wish.
Yes, you did. Just go watch it. Go watch.
It's kind of the occult.
Well, everything is God is kind of the occult. Because God made everything, John. You realize
Bible, maybe wishing something.
That's why there is no God made the devil. If God knows everything, why did he make the devil?
But some people who wish, like they want to use the law of attraction or the secret to wish for something.
You did that. You did that
into reality.
You did that.
That's bad.
You did that. You did that.
The secret.
Yeah, you told me that you used it a lot,
and then it came back to make it so I couldn't make those. I couldn't think about what the end result was going to be and really try to make it as big and good as possible, and it wouldn't have because I kind of used it too much.
Whatever.
And wishing is like, sounds like the occult.
Again, God made everything. God made the occult. You know.
But maybe some, people who are innocent, they haven't tried to use the occult stuff. To them, it's just saying, "Oh, I wish that would happen." And I think somewhere in the Bible it says wishing may be okay. The word wish. It's talked about in the Bible.
Where was that?
I'd have to look up the exact verse.
Okay.
And I think maybe wishing is okay in the Bible, but still, I didn't say it as much because it was like I didn't like the occult stuff.
Well, like I said, John, if you just go watch last night's show, you see how many times you said, "Oh, I wish I could buy family back."
Well, I don't particularly use that word, but that's what I was talking about, wanting to come back.
Yep.
I'd like to get in better shape.
Well, what I told you a few things like eating magnesium would be good to get back in shape.
Yeah.
The other thing,
In shape. I'm in shape.
you are in shape. You look great. Why
But I'd
don't you
like to get in
take, why don't you
better
take that
shape.
shirt off? Let's really see
No.
your chest. Let's see your chest.
Why
Let's see
would I
that.
do that?
Let's see. Well, you do it a lot on
I've just
TV.
gained a few pounds.
Christmas fat. That's what they call it. Christmas
Yep.
fat.
I did kind of say some things I shouldn't have said in the video. I may I pay you to take one video,
What last? Which one?
that one we filmed last night. In it, I said mean stuff about J.K. Rowling.
Yeah, you said mean
I
things
said
about a
stuff
lot of
about
people.
The Jews.
Yes,
I said the Jews.
and also black people. You were pretty.
Black people.
Yeah, you went after black people.
No.
Like I said, just go watch it.
I said the Jews, J.K. Rowling, and I said something kind of mean about.
Yeah, you can. I'll take that down for $1,500.
I don't have 15.
Well, then I won't take it down.
You wouldn't do it for 40?
No.
$40.
No, there's so many people there. Said, "Oh, that was a great show last night. Never take it." There's 2 people said, "Never take that show down. That was great." So, never taking it down. You got $1,500.
Well, good thing all that I said was the word Jews.
Yeah, but
it's not like it's against.
Don, you didn't say anything bad.
I said Jews 4 or 5 times in a row. Jews. How's that?
Hey, John, I have a rule. You basically put up a show and then you get rid of it because you're embarrassed for some reason.
How is that against Jews?
I never.
I know that. Okay, I don't want to say I like Jews to pretend, but I genuinely believe as a Christian that many Jews will get into heaven. They don't even have to believe in Jesus. I think that's possible for them. But the Bible says, the evangelical Christians in particular, evangelical ones, they think that you really have to believe in Jesus as God's Son to enter the kingdom of heaven.
Well, that's what I would call a prejudice.
And that's the difference between me and some of them, is that I think those Jewish people, when there are some Jewish people who are righteous enough and good enough in their acts and deeds on life, when they had to be last in line and have it difficult sometimes, or often, I think it's possible for them to get into heaven. And I think they're really good people. And they tell the truth. I'd like to work with Seth Rogen. I think Seth Rogen is a pretty good guy.
Mm-hmm.
I like Seth Rogen.
Okay, that's good.
He's about my age.
Yep.
He's friends with James Franco.
Uh-huh.
If you look at James Franco's resume,
Right.
he has an MFA.
Mm-hmm.
He has an MFA from UCLA.
In what?
Like film or acting. I think acting. So he's an MFA in acting from UCLA, and he taught at his own acting school. But then he had difficulty with having sex with the women there. So he got some, not as bad as Harvey Weinstein, but some of the women were like, "Oh, why did you hit on me?" and stuff.
Right.
But but he was a young, good-looking movie star, and still, I guess he still is kind of young. And
Everything is relative.
that doesn't matter as much, I think, the way somebody looks, but kind of, I mean, that's potentially maybe an issue of in a race if they're like, or if somebody agreed to have sex with somebody like that or not. But those teachers, what do you think about those teachers who? But Seth Rogen wouldn't talk to James Franco because of what he did, even though they're good friends, or they work together on a bunch of stuff. But I think Seth Rogen's really funny, and he's Jewish, and he admits that there are actually anti-Semitic people who made it big in Hollywood.
Well, there's every kind of person who made it big in Hollywood.
He's not like trying to say, "Oh, you got to be Jewish because he's Jewish," and like only standing up for Jewish people. I think he's kind of funny. And who else? I don't know. But even Mel Gibson and Donald Trump, look at the things they said. And they were okay, and they kind of. Mel Gibson said he was sorry for doing stuff like that, and then.
As my second wife said, saying you're sorry isn't good enough. Meaning you have to, be consciously aware.
Yeah, but like,
and
Donald Trump
do your best.
He literally made fun of the handicapped guy somehow.
No kidding.
How was that different from? And then he started doing this. He would talk and he'd move his hands like this, and when he was talking, and everyone started doing that kind of when they talk. Like you'd see people talk, whether or not they're Republican or liberal or Democrat or what they do. They talk like this, and they're saying this when they talk with their hands.
Mm-hmm.
But way before that, he did another thing with his hands, acting like a handicapped person.
Yes, he's no
Yeah, it was terrible. Yeah. It was kind of bad, and it was like, but I forgot how he did. Oh, he did this. He went, or something like that, making fun of a handicap. You should see this reporter or something, and he made fun of him for being handicapped as the president to the entire world and nation.
Yeah.
That was not that good. But then I did act a little bit like that in the video last night or whatever.
Yes, last night. Yes, you did act a little.
But it wasn't that bad. I thought my friend Jevin does stuff like that, and he has a really good friend who is handicapped and walks a little different because he got in a car accident. It's not that good. And but he's okay. He's an okay guy, believes in Jesus and God. But he's
there are people,
blacks.
There are.
That handicapped guy is way against black people.
Why?
I don't know. It's just like really racist, and his dad's kind of racist or something.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus, he's a good person. He really has to suffer because he walks like not as good as a regular person, and but he's like really racist and mean against blacks, or was when I talked to him a few years ago. I hope he's not anymore. So maybe it wasn't that bad that I walked like him, or I didn't know I was walking like him. I thought I was walking like my friend, who also has a missing leg. I was walking like my friend who has a missing leg who walks normal. It looks like he doesn't have a missing leg.
It's a prosthesis.
Yeah, he was here one time.
Yeah.
I don't want to say his name. He doesn't want people to know he has a missing leg.
Right. Okay.
He wears pants.
Yeah. I mean, was that his wife or his girlfriend that was with him? He had a couple people with him.
I don't know. I thought he was by himself when he was here.
Oh, he could have been. He could have been.
I think what happens when I eat more food and I'm not working out,
right?
I look stronger.
Oh, okay.
Because finally my muscle had a chance to rest.
Right.
And then it goes to the muscle and it looks like it's stronger and bigger.
Mm-hmm. That's nice.
or when you eat more throughout the day, like protein, it can make it makes the muscle look it makes you have more muscle. Like when you wake up and eat food or eat food at night and then wake up in the morning and have protein. That's how the bodybuilders eat.
Or drink raw eggs.
Oh man, I wouldn't want to do that.
If you drink raw eggs and do cardio, you'll lose 40 pounds in a week and just have a muscle mass. But you just have to drink raw eggs. All those movie stars who got apart and they've been like being the couch. Yeah, all those guys. Just being a couch potato for 6 months and then they get apart and gotta look ripped. That's what they do. That's the secret of doing it. But it's not, it's actually
Now
not.
we could go meet some of them.
Yeah, wait, and we go to LA, baby. Come on.
And get my son up
Yeah.
somehow.
Like I said, here, that's for you.
Mm.
So instead of eating candy, you eat fruit.
Yo. I was saying that big. It's not that important to say. About. So I think it was a live video, and I happened to say a couple. I don't know.
You were off the hook. No, that's staying up there, buddy. Because I told you right from the start. That's what we're doing.
Yep.
Which, I'm trying to assist you into being able to get along with the rest of the world.
On the Latino man, Vin Diesel. Vin Diesel. Stupid.
Is that Vin Diesel? That's a black Vin Diesel.
Right? He's a little scary to me, Vin Diesel. He's like, he talks so cool that he's almost like the devil. Like one, like what?
Let's see what your kids are saying to all of this. Let's see. Forrest, Kevin, James, the dude, go John.
One time I thought the
Boy, but you're still there. That's good. Okay, you're hanging in. No.
One time I got the sound of the devil.
What did he sound like, John? What did he sound like?
To me.
What did he say?
He said,
Hey, John, I'm the devil. How you doing? Yeah, masturbate. Yeah.
No. And he said, he sounded like a Transformers voice with many different voices because he was so powerful.
Hey, John, masturbate.
No, there were like 5 different voices in one voice. And
Hey, Dad.
it was when I was considering going to live in Texas.
Ooh.
And I was going to go and buddy up with Danica's dad and get along with him and maybe have to get some.
Oh, get daddy a blowjob. Give him a blowjob.
No.
Buddy up to him. Give him a blowjob.
And I was going to go to Texas and be there. And then I was thinking, why would I leave my parents? But my kids are there. My kids are really there.
They're really
the
there.
idea of going to her father closer and more closeness than my father and my parents, and working for him and being like, oh, a Texas person working at one of their jobs there, it was bad. It was bad. So I know I'm doing the right thing because as soon as right after thinking all that, like I was going to go to Texas maybe and work for her parents, buddy up with her dad, and like get along and do things their way to make a bunch of money at something to pay for her and the kids and get back with them. And I got the thought from her dad, but it was the devil. It was really the devil hiding. I think it was really the devil. And it talked in about 5 different voices that was so powerful on earth, like some creature that would go across the land and something he owns the earth. He's like the lowercase god of the earth, the devil. He has all this power on earth, the most powerful one on earth besides God. And so he can grant people things on earth, money, stuff like that, to get them to sin a lot or sin in bad ways. So I was thinking about going to her father instead of my parents and living in Texas and working for her father. But it was a bad idea, and I didn't want to do it. It felt like it would not be me at all. It would be some bad, it might have to work for this other guy there who was like, works for the oil companies. It might have to work in big oil or something like that. And, or something to pay my bills. Maybe if it was a smaller level and I just lived near him, but I wouldn't be happy. And I got the thought, like the devil posing as her father, saying, "Please be my child. Please be my child." It was like a really deep voice of a transformer, like the Transformers movie. But it was I think it was the devil, and he said, "Please be my child." But it was like 4 or 5 different voices, and it was scary. And I was like, I didn't know what it was. I thought it was like her father acting like the devil because he's so powerful or something. But I didn't, and I think the devil used to trick him into sin, Danica's father, but not anymore. I hope. I think he's a lot better of a person now. So that was it, and that was scary. And then I was like, no way, I'm not going to go there. And so I'm going to stay in.
We're going to LA. We're going to get stuff going. Then we're going to fly to Houston, get Rowan, bring him back to LA. He's going to have a great time.
It's not as scary there anymore. They don't sin as much. I've been writing them about God and Jesus every day, sometimes many times, on average every day, for 2 years, about 2 years. So it had an effect on her videos. Gosh, I look strong and better shape than I am, but I don't know what I really look like. It's hard to tell. And so it had an effect on her videos, being more kind. However, starting at the end of 2019, I can no longer stand up for her videos. Because it hurt me so much to work on this house and get it all ready. And I thought the kids would be here and it would be okay. And then they said, no, we're not moving to Roanoke. And she bought a brand new house instead. A brand new construction, like cheaper house that was brand new. And it was her first house. And she bought that instead of this one. And I kept working the house all the time thinking, well, maybe they'll change their mind. Maybe. And it had this awful effect on me because I thought the kids are going to move here. She'd at least live nearby, and the kids would get to be in the house after I got it all ready for them for 8 months, 12 hours a day. And I got the house renovated and also had to pay my bills. So it was like I really had to make some money at something. So I worked on this house, and instead, her mom convinced her to buy a brand new construction cheap. Like, well, it's okay, but it's a brand new construction house, and it had me sent to urgent care. And then I couldn't work on the house anymore for 8 more months. And I got to do videos in 2020.
So we're going
to
LA.
God and Jesus after that.
We're going to LA.
Maybe. But I want to get my kids and make sure they're okay.
We're going to LA, but we go LA first. We go LA, get something going on there. Go back to Houston, get Rowan. He goes to LA with us. He sees how great it is. He's excited. He goes back to Houston and says to the family, "John is great. Dad is great. I had so much fun. Let's all go back to Roanoke with Dad. It'll be great." Because if you try and say it, it's not going to happen. If Rowan says it and convinces his brother and his mother, and there you are. Bob's your uncle.
Yeah, Uncle Bob.
Yeah, Bob's your uncle.
Uncle Bob.
That's me.
That's what Rowan can call you.
Yeah, Uncle Bob.
That's how it should be. That's what it should call you.
Yeah, Uncle Bob.
But he, But I couldn't, once I worked in this house and I had to go to urgent care for working on it so much, and they just bought some new house instead, I couldn't stand up for her channel anymore. I couldn't believe in them to make all these views. So I decided to not think one thing or another about her videos, and then they stopped getting as big. She makes less money now when I didn't believe in her as much. I hope we didn't get angry at something. Looks like I'm like really strong, but maybe when I watch the video again, it won't look like that at all. Looks like I'm like really strong or something, but I don't know if that's real or that's just the way it looks from this far away. Yep. Yep. He's got a good battery on that laptop. I got him that laptop so he could film videos. It wasn't that expensive. It was like on sale.
It was on sale.
Your laptop?
Yeah.
It was part of the videos. The other video, I got you a laptop.
Yep.
I might get one for myself. You can get them for like $200, less than $200.
I might. This thing is crapping out. I mean,
no, it's good.
Oh, it's good, but
doing all this on a battery.
Yeah. No, I mean it's good, but it has issues. So, like, it'd be nice if I could do YouTubes on my phone, but I only have 450 subscribers. I think you have to have 1,000 to be able to do it on your phone.
You can make a live video on your phone?
I used to.
Oh, try it now. When's the last time you tried it?
A long time ago.
Yeah, I think it works.
Okay.
It just used to not work for
Okay.
a while. I think maybe I couldn't do it for a while too. And now you can.
Okay. Let's say,
Yeah.
Google told me I needed X amount of people to be on there.
They said, I don't know what they said, but now it works for me, and it used to not work for me. Yo. Vin Diesel. He's like, sounded almost a little bit like that sin of the devil because he wanted so much on earth. Like he's like $300 million or something. Vin Diesel. It sounded like he was like scary a little bit. Like he sounded like a little bit like the devil sounded. I don't know if that's true. They're regular humans. I don't know. I think Sylvester's. I don't know.
What?
Maybe some of them are okay, but I want to get my kids. And I'd like to meet a wife if Danica really doesn't want to be with me.
But you're not going to meet one up here.
And I think if I go to LA, I'd be way happier just being there.
Environmentally, yeah.
More confident with
my phone. So where do I find, putting a YouTube up?
Right here, the plus sign at the button.
Right?
You go, right? Go live.
Oh, look at that. There it is.
What's it say?
New safeguards.
Get started.
Okay. Get started.
What do you want to call it?
Oh, we were already doing one. So now I know how to do it. So that's
Yeah.
what it is.
I think it'll work now.
Yeah, I think so too. So I go to YouTube and hit that star and just go through the process.
The plus sign,
Right.
whatever it is.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you, John.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know that. Oh, let's see. What are people saying here?
I haven't taken a shower in 2 days.
Well, I haven't taken one in, before.
Don't tell them.
Before I came to, here, between last Christmas, not this Christmas, the last Christmas and November 12th, I hadn't taken a shower. I mean,
Did you take one in the summer?
well, no, I kind of, hosed myself up, but I didn't get into a hot shower and go, ooh, oh yeah, I love it, But your body,
What do you like those like little kids who think they don't, who like
you don't have to take it. Meaning, basically,
That's
our
perfect,
bodies
but
were,
you got
made
pubes.
back in
You
the.
have pubes of a man.
Yeah, I have pubes of a man. So what? Our bodies, they didn't have showers until like the 1890s. So no one took showers. They took some baths, but like once in a while. Our bodies are meant to not be, sprayed with deodorants and soaps, and because most soaps are synthetic. They come from, they don't come from plants. The soap I use is a Castile soap. Comes, Dr. Bronner's. It's truly organic, right? So, but every other soap is like ick. It's made from Go John Go. So you guys have, let's see, what did Lynn say? I just
That'd be really
love
cool
that
if you got way
Mother
more views.
Teresa delivered Jesus. Have any of you read a book called Ishmael? And then the other book written by this guy is the story of B, right? So Ishmael. Call me Ishmael. Yes, but it's not Moby Dick. It was written in the 60s or 70s. It's about this family who's in Africa studying gorillas. This baby gorilla's mommy dies, so they bring
Somebody
it up.
called me that at the
Ishmael?
mental facility.
They called you
When I
Ishmael?
hadn't slept in a long time, this really white redneck
Right,
guy.
right.
He was young. It was right redneck wife.
Right.
Finally met up with him when he left.
Right.
And he said, he walked right up to me and said, and he didn't walk up to me. He just looked at me when we were close enough, and he said, "Are you Ishmael? You Ishmael?"
And you are Ishmael.
The mental facility.
So do you know who Ishmael is? In Moby Dick?
No.
Ishmael is what I forgot who called
Somebody
you
in the
that.
Bible.
Anthony, didn't you call John the people's truth, saintly truth,
gonna
or
go.
truthfully saint? Yes.
I
Okay.
should probably shave my face, take a shower. I
Whatever.
don't like not taking a shower as much.
I mean, I love showers. Now that I'm
used to
taking
shower
showers,
every day
I love taking
before I
showers.
got to this house, and then I got more like a hippie. It's like a hippie.
No. You know what hippies are? People who shit and shoot heroin in their hip. What you are, or what I don't know what you are, but what I am is a flower child.
Okay, flower child.
So look, here are the chickens. Here are the chickens.
That did good to show.
There's the chickens. Open the door if you would for me, John. Here, let me go out there. Here are the chickens.
He's good.
Here's the chickens. And these are our neighbor's chickens. They don't care about them, so they let them just go anywhere. And there are, werewolves and panthers and all kinds of things up here. Here's John's house. Sure there are.
I've never seen any of that.
Yeah, they're werewolves and panthers.
I've never seen any.
Oh, baby, you don't want to see a werewolf.
Ooh, don't call me.
You don't want to see a werewolf.
Fine,
Okay, honey. Okay, so John's going to go take a shower. You just saw the chickens. Could you close the door, John?
Yeah.
Thank you. And dinner's, cooking away, right? So, anyway, any questions? Ugh. Hey, John, do me a favor. Can you turn that light out?
There are no werewolves. Oh, you had me scared when I first got to this house. I thought there were genetically manipulated creatures that were out in the woods.
There are.
Well, I'm going to go.
Okay, buddy. I'll see you. Dinner will be ready in an hour or two. We're pushing on towards 3 p.m. Oh, now I know I can make. I don't need my laptop to make YouTubes. Okay, I'm glad. Now I know. See, John, John is a good guy. He really is. And like, I'm not taking that show from last night because, a number of you said that show was amazing. Don't take that one down. So I'm not. I'm not. Um, I've only really taken two shows. One that, early on, John made me, so I did. But there was another one that someone was there, telephonically, and really, really didn't realize. I mean, I have, people call up while I'm doing this, and I say, hey, I'm doing a live chat. Do you want to be part of it? And a number of them say, sure, and jump in, and I'm part of it. But if they don't know, you know, so there's only twice that I've taken any show down, right? But I told John right up the bat, when I got here, I want to do all these. I said, fine, John, but they have to be live. You can go back and take them down and then edit them and put up another one, but that live one has. And so the first two we did, he didn't do them live. So last night was the first time he did one live, right? I bet you he hasn't put that up, or he's already taken it down. But I'm keeping everything I do up because that's what I do. I got like more than 1,200 shows. I look on there and I see people who have YouTube channels like since the beginning, since 2015, and they have like 3 live chats. So no, and then there are a lot of people who do these really amazingly good edited. My friend JP. Now he does. It's obvious that he's thought about what he's going to say. He's written a script. He's a really good actor. So he does it, right? And he's got a crew that videotapes it. So he's, and I'm sure he goes back and edits it a little bit here and there, but he does it straight on. And basically, he has cuts because there are places that he does this thing where he's like doing news and he goes, and now in. And so that's a good place to cut. So he does that a lot. So it's obviously that's where he's editing. But they're truly graceful, or truly grace, or really, really graceful, or whatever her channel is. You can see when you look at my channel and it shows all the things I've been watching. She's up there, right? She's got her own little category, actually. And then, dark journalism, Jimmy Dore, all these guys, they have a crew. They have a set. They have real equipment that they actually have technical people who know how it works. Not me. It's just me. And I asked John. So, for the last 2 years, I didn't think my phone could do it because YouTube told me I couldn't. Little did I know they changed that. And now I can. So that's what I'm saying. John's a good guy. And that's why he's my friend. Because no matter how my sister, you're back with that guy, how you can be that dangerous. No. Now, I can help him. I've already helped him. I've been only here 3 days, and he's not stuttering and not jerking and not, and he's actually, talking. And yes, he talks only about himself, but we're getting there, And so he's my friend. I don't give up on friends. What are my 3 rules, gang? A, doctor, do no harm. B, do not get involved unless there is a planned exit strategy. Yeah? And you're going in to help to get the innocent out of harm's way. That's B, or number 2. And C, number 3, don't get involved unless I can learn something that will allow me to do better. And the world can be better by me learning this thing. And that's, John is pretty much that for me. He is definitely my little lab rat. It's not lab rat. It's more like, it's like what, who was that lady who went into Africa and observed the monkeys? What's her name? And she's still alive, still making films about all the apes. And there's a part where she has her little camp that she's been there for the last 60 years. And, Dr. Leakey sent her there. And I said, go do this and see what you can figure out. And she was like, and she had no degrees, she had no nothing, but now she's a total super expert on what she's doing. And that's how you don't become the super expert about anything unless you're doing it. It's not you can go to school and get a degree, but unless you're doing it, not really. Now John is still doing it. Of course, he's doing it in his John way, which is fine. If he wants to be up here for the next 60 years totally alone, that's his call. But the next month or two or three, I'm going to do everything every day in every way to be my best to help my friend to break out of this and be happy. He's the decider. Whatever his happiness is his, right? But after this, I'm pulling all the threads together. He'd still be my friend. But, as my mom says, I keep saying this, you can drag a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. And gang, this is at least my new platform, my new way of reaching out. And, within, I'm visualizing, I'm consciously aware and I'm consciously intent that there is going to come together, either all around the world, individually, everyone in the country is going to do something in their little hometown and their little city and their country and that isn't like, what's her name? Miss Asparagus. Oh, boo, the world is ending. The world isn't frigging ending. And it's not warming. And these morons are getting closer. I mean, they already have been geoengineering the planet, meaning, I don't know if you've noticed for the last 70 years, we have been spraying the troposphere. We've been screwing with it. I mean, we were detonating hydrogen bombs in there to blow holes to let the heat out. Oops, we destroyed the ozone and the cancer rate went up by 90%. It's, from 1950, when it's somewhere between 54 and 57, when we start detonating hydrogen bombs in the air. And why did we have, in 1961, the above ground test ban? Because one day, America detonates a gigantic hydrogen bomb in the troposphere over Australia and up there in space, right there where everything is the most, delicate and important because it's, the ozone layer is keeping us from being barbecued. And Russia blows up one kind of on the ground. And it set up a scalar wave that went straight into the sun and has whacked the sun since then. And that's why the sun was in this nice Goldilocks thing for the last, million years. It's been fine, right? And life has, thrived no matter what we do. But then we did that and it did a number on the sun. And that was done on frigging purpose. It wasn't like, oh, the Russians blew up one 6 hours later just by happenstance. No, it was orchestrated because what it did, it changed the sun into a time vehicle. It blew holes in its multi-dimensional essence, and we now use it as a portal. And a lot of astronomers see some kind of ship go into the sun, right? And they, what was that? Oh, it's just an anomaly. Because a lot of them, I mean, these holes appear and not appear, right? So a good deal of them are on the side of the sun when they occur when we can't see them. But some of them occur on the side that we can see. And so that's why we've been able to see them. So let's see what you're saying. Will the big pot of food last you all week? Well, how I cook is like grandma. So that pot has been different things in the other pots. It's like the base that I use, just kind of, and I add more water, and I add more, more vegetables, and then I put it in another pot and then add like, pasta or I've been reeling. There's a lot of grits here, and grits are, I don't know if any of you guys have ever had polenta, which is the Italian version of grits. And polenta is like they use instead of potatoes, And so that's what I've been doing. And so I first fry up some onions, a red onion and a white onion. And then I have some kale that I've been chopping up. I bought it was on sale. I bought 5 pounds of kale for $3. And it was farm fresh, that's why it was so cheap. And so I've been cutting it up and putting that as a base. And then I add the big pot, because the liquid is unbelievable. When in the South, right? There's grandmas in the South too, and they cook the same way as my Italian grandma. It's just Southern rather than Italian. And they call that juice liquor because it's so good, right? It's so good. They call it liquor. So that's what it's a big pot of, liquor, right? So, and that big, John, he goes, oh, I can't eat because I visualize it as a little big. And like his little daughter, that's not his daughter, Because when you eat meat, you're basically eating your children, And, that's what our society does. We live in a sociopathic society, so we're eating our children. We don't care about our children. We do everything. No child left behind means every child's left behind. We have, from what I experienced as grammar school, the grammar school I went to, kids, go Google the Harrod experiment. That was my grammar school and middle school, right? And then I was ready to go to the Harrod experiment high school, and that's when my parents sent me to a seminary to become a Catholic priest. And my mom, to the day she dies, you wanted to be a priest. You always said you wanted. No, I was having really good male-female healthy relationships from when I was 3. Third grade, but I wasn't having sex, but I was having good men and female. 98% of a relationship between men and women has nothing to do with sex, period. And that's why men and women are still screwed up in our society. And that's why for the last maybe 1,200 to maybe 1,200 years, women were property. Women in the United States did not stop being property until 1913. And it took women 100 years. Martin Luther King read Gandhi's books, and that's where he got into nonviolence. Gandhi read the American women's suffrage movement literature when he was in a jail in South Africa. And that's where he got his. So he got, and Gandhi wrote about this. He said, I was enlightened by American women because in 1840, they had the first big women's conference at Seneca Lake in upstate New York, right? And all these wealthy, well-to-do, highly educated women who had a certain element of power, but if their husbands died, they were going to be like on the bottom of some corporation or some long-lost nephew would get everything, and they would be at the behest of those guys. And they basically, and in England it was the same way, but women were queens, so they had a potential of having a little power here and there, but they were still run by men. And so these ladies who were smart and well-educated had a strategy. And they said, well, we can't have a revolution. They got all the guns. They'd kill us. And they're already killing us. And that's why the suffrage movement was so against alcohol, because the alcohol in those days was so high proof that guys would go off and, they have a big plantation, right? And wife would be running it with the slaves, right? Husband would be out there in town drinking, whoring, gambling, and he'd come back home once in a while, but he'd usually be drunk out of his mind and then beat his wife and kill some slaves and rape some people, then go back town. And, Mr. McCormick, McCormick Reaper, the cotton gin guy, I used to work in the, patent library. And I was put there not to be a bookkeeper of stuff, but to look at patents and see trends, see what was I could learn about what was going on in that day by the patents, right? I had a mentor who wanted to study that. He didn't want to spend the time, but I'm going to put you in the the patent library, and you can do whatever you want, but this is what I want you to do. You can do it any way you want, but this is what I want you to do. And that's what I did. I saw virtually every agricultural patent in there. The pictures were like art, obviously done by the slave who really liked the cotton gin. The slaves are picking up cotton, they're getting their hands ripped up. And so, they, knew what needed to be done. So they fooled around and oh, look, if we do this box, oh, good, my hands won't get ripped up. Then the wife said, oh, that's a good idea. So she wrote it out and sent it into the patent library. They came back and said, okay, agreed. Here's the contract. Where's the man? Put the man's signature right there. And you'd see the guy like do it with a crayon or put an X, and then she would write his name very nicely, very feminine, and everything, all the description, all the blah, blah, blah of the patent would be in this beautiful feminine script. And then the name would be printed out in this like English, legal script, but still in a feminine way. And then the guy, Mr. McCormick, X, M. It was so obvious. So women, they did. Women and slaves built this country. Men just masturbated on it, right? Pretty much. So anyway, so the women's movement had this thing in the 1840s where they said, okay, we're going to, it's going to take us 100 years, and and they had a whole strategy. First we're going to do this. First we're going to do this. And that's, I'm very much a feminine mental set here. This German part over here in my brain is very feminine. And so, here's John. Oh, I wish, but, wishing ain't going to do nothing. But you have a strategy. Oh, you want to go to LA? Let's get in there. I know if I go there and John, and I will find a great place to live for virtually nothing. John takes care of the immediate things, and he kind of knows all of that. So I'll go get a job being a extra or whatever, and by doing that, I will find my little niche or whatever it is, and then I'll have a nice little whatever it is, and then we can go back to Houston, where his kids are. And Rowan probably wants to be with John, wants to get away from his mother. I'm sure he wants to he's been with her. She has homeschooled him his whole friggin' life. So he has had no interaction with anybody but his brother, his little sister, and his mother, and his grandpa, right? And that's kind of why they are whatever they are, right? Grandpa's got a lot of money, so the kids, I want this. They got it. They have no idea how to get stuff themselves. So if Rowan comes, we go get Rowan, and I'm sure Rowan's, he's 15, so he's a teenager. So I'm sure he's driving his mother crazy. Last year, she said, John, Rowan can come stay with you, because I'm sure he's like rebelling and being a teenager, and she can't stand it. And he and her like, I can't stand this. You suck. You remind me of John. Because Rowan is John's son. I mean, he looks just like John. He acts, he's at a place that if somebody like can give him some heads up on what life's about, he might be the uber great, amazing John, right? And then that would give John some space to be the amazing John he can be. So that's my plan, right? But see, I do things in plans and strategies. I don't expect them ever to turn out the way I am. But once you get, the hardest thing to do anything is getting started. And that's why I'm telling you this, all of you guys, because you are all amazing. And all you got to do is get started. The hardest thing is the inertia to break. You're stuck. Just to do that little, just lean into whatever it is you want to do. Then it'll be fine. It'll be amazing. I mean, how did I do all the stuff I did? I just kept doing, not expecting to be perfect, not to be the best, just to do my best, not to be the best within the category of expectation. No, I'm just going to do in the moment, perfect timing. That's the first thing I really got a hold of. When I stuck that knife in the electric socket, I learned about perfect timing, and that I was present with I can remember it. I was like, ooh, yeah. But because I was an infant and I wasn't grounded to any metal or, water pipe or, if I was holding on to the radiator and stuck the knife in there, I would have been fried. And I was little. So my mass, there's an equation, a field equation of mass and this and that of the conductor. So I was like a feather. So all I was getting was like this little charge through my whole body, my whole electric system. It was like, oh, look, buddy, yes, we're doing this to align all the amazing stuff in you. So wink, and then it went like that. And I felt this from not the top of my head, but the top of my chakra, all the way through all the chakras down to my most base chakra in my little willy, and it just stood right up and was smiling. Wow, this is what it's about. And then it just kept bouncing back and forth. And I from the top, spiritual chakra in my physical body down to my, crass base reproductive little willy. And it just kept bouncing. Oh, this is what it's about. Bang, up here. No, it's not. Bang, 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 bang. And it said, well, no, what it's about is doing what you are to do in the moment, not thinking about little Willie all the time and jerking off and looking at porno. Yeah, it's fine. There's, times that's fine, but not all the time, and not so much that you get, bent into a kind of pervert, and not, it's not perverted. I mean, that character who you are is perverted. So you look at every politician, anyone who's in power, they're all been perverted. Elon Musk, he really looked like a healthy guy. Bill Gates, come on. He's like, yeah. It's like, really? Okay. Mr. Fauci, I'm science. Come on. It's a joke. And it's a joke on purpose. That's why this all, no matter what happens, as long as you're serving love's co-creation, everything's fine. As long as you're doing your best, you don't have to be perfect. The things I say about whatever I say about is fine, because at that moment it's fine, right? I mean, all you have to do is they can't hide this stuff. We just look at these people and it's pretty much, and people do a much better job. Jimmy Dore and JP are better comics and sarcastic commentary guys. Me, I just tell you stories and don't believe a word I say. Happy day, Lana. Yep. Now, let's see. Yep. I gotta work. Go to work, Lana. Let's see. How long have we been doing this? Almost 4 hours. So it's time for me to say goodbye. Let's see. Where are we? 3:48 and 48. Oh, yep. There we go. It's a good time to go. I'm gonna let anyone got anything to say. Yes, during my video when was actually out that when he was in his medication, he's not like this. What do you think about that? Well, his medications were virtually all modern pharma medicine, from the AMA to big pharma, is an industry, a business. It's about profit, right? It's not about health. It's not, look at us. The United States spends more money than the rest of the world on healthcare, and we're number 48. Cuba is better than us. Swaziland is better than us per capita. And so, so what's going on about that? What's it about? Is that it's about making money, and all of that technology came from war. I mean, like when you're getting your, like me, I was 460 pounds. I was crushing my kneecaps. They wanted to cut my legs off, right? And I said, no. Well, how you're going to weigh so much? How you going? I said, no, I'll lose the weight. Oh, how can you lose? You're going to have to lose almost 260 pounds. That's what I lost. And my knees, as well, it's bone on bone. Well, my knees are okay. and they work because of my conscious intent, right? And why I'm here, and why I do my best in every day and every way to co-create love's one love. So that's why I'm alive and lost 260 pounds. And all of my doctors are like, I can't believe you're alive. And I can't believe you're walking. My bone doctors. I don't understand how those legs support you. Because I used to he put these metal clamps on my legs and I walked with a walker. That's how you're going to be the rest of your life. Not really. So you can do anything. I'm a good example that you can do anything. You just have to be consciously aware. Oh, my battery is dying. Gotta go, kids. Okay. Let's see. Here we go. I'm gonna get out of here. Where is this thing? Here it is. Here we go. Yeah, we're getting down low. Come on. Okay.